You guys watch Game of Thrones together?
Well, yes, but it's because I am like the Game of Thrones, right? I have like Game of Thrones tattoos, like whatever. And so we were in this beginning of dating trying to figure out like what shows do we have in common, because we have pretty different like media consumption habits. Like I watch Bridgerton and he watches like Tesla review videos. Like we're very different. And so I was like, he loves Lord of the Rings. And so I like, we watched.
Why does that not shock me?
Right? So I was like, I saw a thing the other day that said that couples are always one person loves Lord of the Rings and one person loves Harry Potter. And I was like, that tracks. So I was like, Game of Thrones. That's like right in the middle. I think we would love Game of Thrones. I think it would be like amazing. We would be able to watch it. It's like a great TV show series. There's a ton of episodes. Like we can chunk it out over time. So we started it. And I mean, probably from like episode 2 or 3, he was like, tell me Joffrey dies. Like this kid sucks. Like I hate this kid. And I was like, just watch, just watch. There's so many good things that happen in Game of Thrones, and like get invested in like Arya and Sansa and like Littlefinger and all these people. And he just kept being like, does Joffrey die? And then we got to the wedding where Joffrey dies.
Spoiler warning.
It's been out for like 7 years. We got to that episode and we have not watched an episode since. He like has no interest in.
That's
he was
it?
like, that was like, he was all he needed to know was that justice was served. And I was like, the whole time I'm going like, tell Cersei it was me. Like, he has no idea that there's all this stuff coming.
Here's the thing. He also has no idea that season 8 happened.
That's true.
And that's the thing. Is
I
like,
wasn't mad about season 8.
I know. So like, I was like a hardcore Game of Thrones guy. It was probably the first TV series, House of Cards and Game of Thrones, where I was like balls deep. They truly did a great job of like getting me to forget that this is a TV show. And I was really invested in it.
Yeah.
And then the problem is when you spend so much time building a world so well, seasons 1 through, I would even go to as far as to 6, okay?
Yeah.
And then season 7, the pace of it is just so much different than season 6 and then all the seasons before, that you kind of get this like feeling of like, are they just rushing this? Like, what is going on? Because like a lot of things are happening now at a pace that used to take so much more time. And then when season 8 happens, it's not the resolution that irritated me, like Bran becoming king or what happened with the Night King. I thought Arya killing the Night King was awesome. It is the speed and like the still open questions that were left. Yeah. And then having none of them answered, or even worse, having them answered in really shitty ways. Yeah. Okay?
It was almost lost in that answer, yeah.
And I almost felt like it's so bad. Season 8 is so bad that Game of Thrones went from a show that I was like, you guys gotta watch Game of Thrones. You guys
critically acclaimed.
Yeah, now I don't recommend it.
It's like Dexter. I don't know if you've ever watched Dexter. No. So Dexter has a ton of seasons. And there was I was a big fan of Dexter, and I was watching it, like huge CSI person. I love like murder mysteries and all that kind of stuff.
Typical white girl.
I know. And so I like watch body cam footage on the background, like for my ADHD, because it's like a thing I don't care about, but it's like, it's noise. And then Eric is like, and you wonder why you have nightmares at night. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with that. Anyway, so. Oh,
this is the good part. He's resisting.
So Dexter, every time I tell people I watch Dexter, I get the same reaction, like, oh, did you hate how it ended? And I always go, I stopped at the episode where the wife dies in the bathtub. And everyone tells me that was the right place to stop. And I've never gone back and finished the like last 3 seasons or whatever it is of Dexter, because at that episode, I was like, that was the shittiest ending to an episode ever. And it was like how I rage quit WoW when like I stayed up all night for Cataclysm and I was like excited about the Worgen mount and it was just the run command. And I was like, fuck this game. And I logged out and I never played again. Like once I decide I'm done as a human, I am done and you can't bring me back. That's what happened to me with Dexter. It's one shitty episode. I was done. And everyone I've spoken to has been like, that was the right time to stop.
Do you ever get a pull to go play WoW again? Like when a new expansion or anything comes out?
No.
May I ask why?
Because I have so much, like, I've had such better affinity and time spent in video games that it's not World of Warcraft. Yeah. Like, I played World of Warcraft because my partner played World of Warcraft at the time, and it was like something we could do together, and I genuinely liked it. It wasn't that I hated it and I was playing it anyway. I mean, I had a good time playing it. World of Warcraft was the thing that got me out of being a singular gamer into like understanding that games had community. And so that like fundamentally, I mean, now I look what I do for a living. But in terms of all of the things that I want from games, a sense of community, the deep lore, the passion, the whatever, like I can get that from Witcher. And even though Witcher is a singular game, I can go engage in communities online that are part of that. I can go be part of the modding community. There are like things that I can do the story pulls me in so much more. And then if I want an MMO experience, Final Fantasy has a way better story. Like WoW lost its ability to like pull me in with the lore, which is such a shame because World of Warcraft could have such a deep, rich IP, and it's like they commercialized it to death. And it just, it's lost to me. Like I never could get into like, it felt surface level to me. It's beautiful. I like the characters. I like the mechanics. I like the thing. The story's like, So if I want an MMO and I want a story, I go to Final Fantasy.
It's funny that you say that because I think Final Fantasy X was probably the first game that made me fall in love with video games. Like Final Fantasy X on the PS2 changed my life. As like an 8-year-old Arion, I was like, "What is this? Oh my god!" Or maybe I was like 10. When did it come out? 2001. So I would have been 9, turning 10 that year. But long story short, Final Fantasy X was like the first one that made me feel like, because before then I played like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Video games that were fun, but like they didn't pull me in with like a story.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy X was like the first game where like I felt emotion. I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And when we went to play World of Warcraft, to your point, it was like something I could play with my brother.
Yeah.
It's like me and my brother would play, so it'd be kind of cool. And then we played Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
So like that story to go to visit the places that you saw in Warcraft 3 was like really cool. And to your point, I tried to come back. Like I would come back for an expansion. I would leave. I would come back for an expansion because I liked the gameplay. I was like one of those guys that I liked Mythic Plus. I liked Mythic Rating. I liked the hard content.
Yeah.
What got me to quit was Shadowlands, and like it got me to quit in the sense of like it not only left a bad taste in my mouth, but it made me feel like all the time I had spent in that game were wasted. And that was like a punch to the gut. It made me feel similar to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Season 8, not only was it so bad that like I was upset at the ending, but it made me feel like I wasted my time to get invested in this TV show.
Yeah.
Shadowlands was such a bad expansion. Not only did I quit WoW, but I was angry for the time I spent in WoW.
I work now in video games. So at the time at the time that I went through like Cataclysm and like the whole thing with the Worgen, I was just like a girl that played video games. I had no clue about like how they were made or the publishing strategy behind that. And to be fair, that was a very different time. I think that was probably 2010, maybe 20. Yeah, I think it was like 2010.
2010.
Yeah. And I had no clue, but I remember feeling that as a gamer, the thing that I loved about WoW, and the thing that I genuinely love about MMOs, any game I play, I mean, people can rock me on it. I play in story mode. I don't care about the difficulty of the game. Now, as someone who's older, who has like a full-time career and a daughter and whatever, when I get time to play a game, I want to go as far as I can in the game, right? I struggled with Baldur's Gate in the beginning because I didn't understand the mechanics. And I was like, I really want to get into it. I love Dungeons and Dragons. It's too grindy and I can't make progress in an hour, right? So I play games on easier difficulties because what I love is open world, running around, storytelling, lore, which is why I'm so excited for Fable, right? So the collection, the aesthetics, the like all of that, the glamour, that's what I like about MMOs. I like communicating to people, running around a world, doing little side quests. I don't care about like epic raids and like race to world first. That's not me. The competitive side is not there. And so I was so excited for Cataclysm because they had these Worgens and they had like kind of this haunted kind of like vibe about it. It was kind of steampunky. I was so excited for what the mount could be when you hit the ability to ride a mount as a Worgen. And I was like, in my head, it's going to be like a haunted carriage. Like there's like a ghost carriage and the Worgen sits on the, like that would have been dope as shit, right? And so we get there and then I'm like, I ping and I'm like, let's go. And then you get the run command and all it does is you go on all fours and you run and you're your own mount. And I remember being like, lazy. They've taken my money. They didn't even give me the fucking cosmetic that I wanted. I'm so pissed off because I felt so uncared for as a gamer that I was like, you get none of my money now. And I like backed off. And again, I'm sure now if I talk to like a WoW dev, they probably were like, there's a reason and people ask for that and it's a unique thing to a Worgen that none of the other like races get. There's probably a reason why they thought that that was going to be successful. But for me and my demographic, it was not successful. And it was like the one thing that I like felt uncared for. And I was like, no more, I'm done. I stayed up all night. I went to GameStop at midnight to get the release. I took a day off work and you couldn't even give me a cool mount. And I just never played again. Just ruined my love for it.
I think it also kind of speaks volumes that even if it made sense, like development wise,
Right.
it's about the emotion that you incur as the consumer. So like at the end of the day, it can make logical sense, but it's not about theory, it's about application, right?
Yeah.
And if people, it could be Morgan not having a mount, it could be where the lore went, it could be the gameplay, it could be the a lot of people can make the argument that like the removal of social aspects of that game. Because I would make the argument that like now WoW is simultaneously the least competitive game it's ever been, with like housing, with delves and all these other things. Like it would probably be the most welcoming MMO it's ever been in its existence.
To a normal player.
To a normal player. World of Warcraft. Like if you would have
the
came
barrier
in,
to entry is a lot lower now in WoW than it used to be.
in Classic, what was there? There was PvP and raiding. Like that was it. You know, now there's, like I said, like there's housing, there's all these other things.
Because they're competing with
exactly
Final
competition
Fantasy.
is
But
good.
I also think that what's really interesting, and again, I'm not there, but I find that, you know, you start looking at like profitability as a thing, right? And you go like, what decisions do we need to make as a business and how do we want to do that? And you look at, well, what's the broadest audience want, right? And so you start kind of like filtering out the decision making of like, well, what is the broadest subset of people want? But if you take the inverse approach, which is like, actually, if I were to find this like strategy and how I'm gonna, and this could be for anything, it could be for game design, it could be whatever. I know that only 5% of my users do X in a game, but I want to do something for that 5% of the users. What does that do? It hyper drives them because they know that they're a niche audience. They know that they're going to do that, right? And so when you look at like some of the things that we've done, right, with like Arcane, doing a makeup collab may not make sense to like a lot of people because the majority of the people that play the game are men. But you have a subset of the audience who wants something for them that they're traditionally not met with, whatever the game mechanic or the swag or the merch or the whatever, and you hyperdrive their fandom and it empowers them and it makes them a very loyal fan base. And so I do think that a lot of companies tend to forget that we aren't just averages. Like we are all multifaceted human beings, that there are a different part of us. Like, yes, I like an MMO experience, but I particularly like this aspect of it. And if you don't meet me, even if I understand that it's niche, I'll go find somebody who does, right? And so I do think it's interesting that I would say as an outsider, as a gamer, now having played Final Fantasy and looking at other things, having been at Twitch and watched the decisions that they've made with the tech, you are competing with other things. But at Twitch, they used to say, we don't want to be a better YouTube or a better whatever. We want to be the best Twitch we can be. And I feel like across industries, you've stopped seeing that we're a niche and we're going to do that. Because if I just grow bigger, I can make more money. And you make the trade. Do you want to be like an average thing that a lot of people can use, or do you want to be really great at like a hypercore niche? You can't do both. And I tend to be drawn towards the niche thing. Can
I ask a question then?
Sure.
Since you brought up like Twitch, the technology. I remember when I first met you, what was it, maybe 10 years ago now?
Probably.
Yeah, it was actually on the platform Twitch. Like I knew your brother.
Yeah.
We played Fortnite together. That was actually the first time I actually interacted with you. Twitch was a fundamentally...
Season 1, by the way, for any of the nerd creds. I have all my Season 1 Fortnite skins, so fight me.
Such a gamer.
My daughter asks all the time, can I play on your Fortnite account? Because it's always like rare. It's
swag?
It's because it's all the rare skins that nobody can get anymore. And you get the street cred for having like the super rare skins. Anyway.
No, isn't that so funny that works? It works on me. I'm a 33-year-old man.
Yeah, you want the exclusives.
Yes.
We were just at dinner last night, and the waiter was talking about Pokemon, and I said, oh, do you like TCGs generally, or are you just into Pokemon? And he goes, no, I really like Riftbound. And I go, I work for Riot. And he was like, fuck you, whatever. And he was like joking about it. And he goes, I have an account that got banned 10 years ago. And it was my original League of Legends account. And I won it back. And Eric was like, it's been 10 years. Like, why do you care? And he goes, it's all the old skins. You can't get them anymore. And he like specifically, it was because it was all the original skins that he bought his stuff on. You can't get those anymore. And he wants it back.
And out of all things that he could have asked you or talked to you about or had
it was
any sort
the
of
rare
conversation,
skins.
That's what he was going
I mean,
for.
he did also ask for like some Riftbound cards and stuff. He was really nice. But he talked about wanting his original League of Legends account back because it had all the original skins on it.
So that's kind of where I wanted to go with that, though, is like, you know, Twitch philosophy of like, we don't want to necessarily be a better YouTube, better competitor to us. We want to be the best version of ourselves. I want to be careful because you used to work there, so like I'm not trying to badmouth, but what I am
Yeah.
going to do is just speak openly. It seems as if the platform is on a downward trajectory, and that one of the reasons why it can facilitate itself is because it is a zombie brand under the Amazon umbrella. So its financials, while it is important because you don't want to just hemorrhage cash,
Right.
is not as important as a standalone product where you're closing the doors if you can't make ends meet, right? Whereas YouTube on its own is a functional company. Like it's a part of the Alphabet namespace and a part of Google.
Yeah.
But YouTube,
There's no personality.
Explain. What do you mean? Like there's no personality of Twitch? Or
YouTube as a brand does not have a personality. YouTube is a platform. It's a tool. Like I would liken it to like Google Drive. Google Drive is not like Google doesn't need to like mess you with the branding. It's functional. It works. You know Google. You trust Google. YouTube doesn't have a like personality of a brand because YouTube is made up of the content creators who make it, right? Twitch used to have a brand and they had to at that point in time because they needed to get people to start live streaming because at the time you could use live stream, you could use Twitch, you could use different platforms. We had Justin TV at the time. And so they needed to differentiate themselves via the brand to bring you there, to get you there, to separate you from other things. And that's why it used to feel like it was the community and Twitch had this vibe. And there was like, we went through, I remember the marketing campaign, you're already one of us. We wanted everybody to believe that like it wasn't just weird places for gamers, but you could golf on Twitch. You could wash your car on Twitch. You could do all kinds of things on Twitch that weren't just games. And there's a pro and a con, you know, they do need to grow in order to become profitable. You want to attract as many people as you can, but I think it had an opportunity to not lose its soul. And I think it did lose at the heart what a lot of people really enjoyed about what Twitch was through some of the decisions that they've made. People on Twitch care a lot more about their personal connection to the brand. It is an identity for some people. And I don't feel that way about YouTube, right? People will say I'm a YouTuber because it explains what they do. But when people are like, oh, I stream on Twitch, or people are like, I stream on Kick, there's personas tied to those two things, right? And so you get this group of people that want to feel very passionately about the fact that your brand is part of who they are as a person. And if you don't align with their values and their stuff, they don't want to be on your brand, but they also don't want to go to Kick. They also can't succeed on YouTube. They also are not mobile streamers on TikTok. And so you've pigeonholed them and put them up against a corner that like, you need me, but I'm not going to agree to the like emotional or moral contract that we came up with when you joined. And it causes a lot of friction. So like there is this weird, you're a brand, but now you're so big that you kind of can't fail. I mean, they could, but they're not really going to because Twitch needs to succeed. But if Twitch got bought by YouTube, it would just be YouTube streaming. It would not have the personality and the soul. You wouldn't have a TwitchCon. You wouldn't, like, that stuff wouldn't exist. And so I think where I struggle is I believe that Twitch could maintain its soul and still become profitable. I don't actually think you need to make the trade-off. And I haven't worked there in 5 years, so I'm certainly on the outside. I know nothing about what's going on the inside. This is only, I helped fund the company and start them. I was employee number 120. I was there for 7.5 years, and now I'm on the outside, so I am speculating purely. And I could speculate as to why that is, but I think it's because they've started making decisions that are not in alignment with the way the brand portrayed itself in the beginning, and there is a clash between what I signed up when I joined Twitch and what I think Twitch is now today, which is soulless.
Forgive me for asking this, but it's like the natural conclusion of the natural question I get. If YouTube is the quote-unquote, not soulless, but, the shell, it doesn't necessarily have a whole lot of personality, but it's profitable.
Yeah.
And Twitch
It works.
has more of that and is not profitable, then would argument dictate that YouTube's path is the right path? Am I incorrect in this? Wouldn't it be being more proficient and being the better platform technically? Like,
yeah,
it works really well, right? Say what you want about YouTube.
But
I'm not a particular fan of its censorship or the AI algorithm, but
correct.
I mean, it is a great product.
So I don't think what YouTube does is wrong, right? I think what I'm trying to address is the tension of why people feel the way they feel about Twitch. Like you're like, Twitch is going downhill, right? Now you have a different experience because I have Twitch Turbo. I don't get ads. You don't have Twitch Turbo. You do get ads.
No. Hold up. Let me just add to that. What was my example though? I tried to watch a Shroud stream,
And you couldn't.
and it had been some time.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, I haven't watched them in a while. I'll tune in. I was gonna work, so I was gonna throw the stream up on the second monitor. I had 5 30-second unskippable ads.
Yeah.
And all I thought to myself was like, dude, go fuck yourself.
Yes.
You are. No way.
Yes.
We're back to cable television.
Correct.
Where you have to watch 7 minutes of something to then watch 2.5 minutes of ads to
Correct.
watch 7 minutes of something. But cable television was better because it stopped the program.
Well,
it's not as if the program would continue while I was watching my ads.
And they've made it so that, and I don't know how Shroud runs his streams, right? But there is like an option where if the streamers run so many ads per hour, you actually do not get an ad when you load in. Like there's a way around it. So Twitch has been like, well, we gave them a way to do it, and it's like, but then you're putting the onus on the user experience onto the streamer instead of just making sure that your platform is functioning the way that it should. I mean, again, there were so many examples internally where like part of the reason why I left, I think Twitch, again, disclaimer to everybody, I think Twitch is a great company. I know that is made out of lots of people that care very deeply about their user experience. So this is not a bash on people.
No, I'm not bashing any individual.
But
I'm just saying the product.
My role, one of the things that I was starting to experience was that it became very difficult to solve problems because it's easy to solve problems when you have the same outcomes that you're trying to drive. We were getting to a point where we were driving different outcomes. My job as the head of community was to make sure that users and streamers had the tools that they needed to succeed and that fostering community was easy and seamless and there weren't barriers to entry and that people understood what we were doing and that the monetization worked in favor of the streamers. The business was like, make money. And so when you come to the table and you're like, let's debate this product, and I'm trying to solve user experience, fostering a community, barriers to entry, favor of monetization in front of that, and you're trying to go like, but do we make money? We literally cannot come to an agreement. We're solving two fundamentally very different problems. And it wore me down over time. Now, there were other reasons why like I wanted to advance and I was excited about the opportunity. I wasn't just like running away from Twitch. Like my job now, I love my job. It's the perfect job for me. And I was very excited about it. But I faced that problem, and I think it makes it very difficult to do that. Now, if Twitch just was like, you know what, our goal is to be a functioning platform and that's what we care about, and the brand identity and the whatever, like, we're good without that. We don't need a TwitchCon anymore. We don't need a whatever anymore. They could do that. And I think they could become a profitable company by just being a highly utilized, functioning, great user experience for live content. They could win that way. But they're in this, like, haven't figured out what their identity is, where, like, they want to maintain the community and the tool and the whatever and the this thing. And they're like, CEO is, like, out talking to streamers all the time and, like, doing all that kind of stuff. But also, we're going to go make more money. And so what the decisions we're making feel, oftentimes, if you read why streamers are upset, in conflict with that side of the things. And it's like, you got to figure out who you want to be. Because you can't, I think you could do both. But then your decisions that you make need to be in line with this group over here. And I don't know any of the logistics, and I never did, of like what the bottom dollar was. How much were they spending every month? How much did it cost to run the company? What was the delta between what they needed to do? What were Amazon's I have no clue about any of those things. So I can't say whether the strategy is right or wrong or what they needed to do. But from my POV, I think that's where you get people being upset with Twitch. What Twitch is doing, it feels like it's going down because they're making the decisions that are not in line with this, like, we want to be for the people and the community experience and the da-da-da-da. But also here's all these things that, like, are basically about being profitable.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to, like, align.
Well, it's tough, right? It's one of those,
super hard.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it is incredibly important that you are profitable, but then to the means and measures that you try to acquire profitability, I will agree with you that you cannot lose what got you to the dance.
Correct.
Because then it's like, well, then what are we doing?
Or you have to just acknowledge it and embrace it and like rip the Band-Aid.
What do you mean by that? Like just stay unprofitable? Like
No. What I mean is like if they were going to go the YouTube route where like it wasn't really about the personality, just rip the Band-Aid off. Just like stop trying to like lean in so hard into the Amazon. When Amazon runs an ad, they don't care what you have to say about the ad. They just want you to go buy the thing, right? You have like community-based companies, right? And then you have traditional marketing, right? YouTube is traditional marketing. YouTube wants you to know that they exist, but they're not heavily investing outside of like UA, right? Or outside of like UX experiences. They literally want to track where are you clicking, where are you not clicking, what makes you click off an ad, what makes you stay. The data is informing the decisions that they make. Twitch as a company that has established itself as a community-based company, the requirement is two-way communication, which means we have a dialogue. If I do something you don't like, the user has an expectation that you're going to address it and fix it and care about what I have to say, right? And so they're not doing that. The contract has been broken. I thought you were a community-based company. I thought you were doing all of these things. You're not a soulless, faceless Amazon or whatever, right? They care about you so much as they need you to use
The product.
Community-based organizations, and I work in one, and that's why I work there, is because we're always looking at like, well, what is like the thing we could do that could surprise them? What would be like a really cool thing that would like really make them happy? Like League bringing back the winter map, right? It was like a thing that players like, we want the winter map, we want to win. It's a free thing. Yeah. It was free, right? We did it because we want you to be happy and we want you to know that we're listening. We want you to do all these things. That expectation is very different from a traditional marketing company. And so if they want to operate as traditional marketing, they can, but they're leaning on this community style marketing, which is the two-way communication, but the community is talking to you and you're not really talking back, or you're not addressing the issues. You're like, yeah, cool. And so I think it feels like the social contract has been broken, and that's where that like friction comes from. Again, I could be totally wrong.
No,
that's just my outside.
This is
view.
Some of the where I saw the winds blowing as well.
Yeah.
And I will also say that one of the things that we're not necessarily discussing in all of this is also like the gaming industry itself, the way it shifts, the way it molds, the way it moves, right? It's a difficult industry. It's a difficult genre. Entertainment as a whole is difficult, especially as we discussed in our previous conversation, like the short-term versus long-term, long-form content. I mean, doing something live versus like a pre-recorded VOD. There's a lot of variables at play here.
Well, the other thing too that's like a very important thing to consider that has nothing to do with Twitch at all is that user behaviors have so dramatically changed in the last 10 years, particularly because of things like TikTok. The average user retention on TikTok is less, it's like half a second. I think we talked about that in one of the previous podcasts, right? And so you have a company whose like user behavior relies on them to have like a 22-minute attention span at minimum. And the average attention span on things like TikTok and younger consumers is like 0.5 seconds. Like they don't match, right? And so, again, this is like a hard thing to do. If like, do you have to adjust to the growing trends of the market? Do you adjust to, most people don't have those attention spans, so we need to have at least a part of the product that can get them in so that we can run ads so that we can make money? Or do you go like, you know what? We're not going to keep up with that. That's not what we're meant to do. We are a long form like company. We are long form UGC. We are going to build the best product for people who consume long-form UGC. And that may mean that we're never going to make $200 billion a year. We have to make this amount of money, and we need to work in how to be profitable at that amount of money. Let's like only operate in that. Again, I'm not internally, maybe they've had those conversations, maybe they haven't. But because the attention spans of consumers is shortening every single year, it is harder to get people to watch live streams. They're older, right? They have very different user behaviors. It's still very niche. It's people who play video games. It's people who do whatever. Even now, like in Hollywood, there was like some panel about I think it was like an actress or an actor saying that they were really irritated about feedback that they get from the studios about their TV shows and their scripts because people have such a short attention spans that they know people are looking at their phones. And so now the way that they are writing movies is to remind you like every 20 minutes about what's going on in the plot because they realize that you've been on your phone part of the time. And they're like, it's so annoying now to try to make a movie because I can't get deep into a conversation because they might tune out and get their phone out. And like they're changing, which is to me is the wrong thing. I think leaning into these short attention spans, you're actually enabling the fucking behavior. Don't enable the behavior. Get people back into longer. Take the laptops out of school. Whatever. I have all these like feelings about it. It's not good for human beings.
Because you can't. If you fight the market, you will go bankrupt. And I know what episode you were talking about. It was when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were on the JRE.
Was that what that was?
And they were talking about their Netflix movie that they had just.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And they were were discussing essentially how when they were making movies back in like the VHS days, where you could get a lot of secondary market revenue from renting the movies and buying the movies, versus now where basically you're making all your money through the streaming conditions. Or that's why you're also seeing like this samey type of production for a lot of these Netflix documentaries and Netflix series and all these other things. It's not a conflict of, budget versus end game. It's just like
It's
the whole market
it's
has
attention.
changed.
They call it now the attention economy.
But I don't necessarily think like I want to be careful how I say this because I'm not trying to sound like this like financial shill, but you know I am in a 3-piece suit because I kind of a douche. You know what I mean?
I wore jeans to tone it down. You know.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like if that is what the market is saying, then my job as whatever it is I'm doing is to hit that mark, to sell you the product that you're looking to buy. I'm not trying to fight you. I'm not trying to, you know, change you. What I'm trying to do is ride a wave. I'm a surfer. I can't create the wave. All I can do is ride it wherever it goes, however long it goes.
So do you remember, I think I can't remember if it was a podcast or it was like one of the conversations we had previous to that, but I made a speculation. I know you and I talked about it. I can't just remember if it was like filmed or not filmed. About how with like 3D printers and commercialization and AI and like all these things, my guess was that handmade things were going to like increase in value, right? People were going to have a higher demand for like artisan level craftsmanship and artistry because it now is more rare because it's so easy to like go do all these other things. And I remember the time you were like, I don't know, like whatever. I don't know that that's happened yet, so I won't say like I was right. But what they are actually seeing, they've called 2026 the year of analog because younger kids they want to be off their computers more. They have seen like a 300% increase in the number of people that want to try like needlepoint, crochet, crafting, quilting has like gone up with younger demographics because they've been so barraged with like SpongeBob and like the rapid cuts and whatever. And they're like, it finally has hit them that they're like, I'm fucking tired. Like you could only go to like an EDM festival for so many days before you're like, can I just like sit on a beach and hear a bird? Right. And that's kind of what's happened. So the pendulum always swings and things always come like full circle. I do think that it might not have been in the like handicraft workmanship that thing is rising, but people actually do want less barrage of things, and it'll probably take like 3 or 4 years to catch up. But I think you'll start seeing schools pulling laptops out and turning to paper more. I think you will see, because colleges are now starting to report that
Cheating,
the kids
cheating because of AI.
The kids don't know how to write papers. They literally don't know how to write on a paper.
I cannot disagree more with the aversion of technology because that is where the future is. Like, I understand where you're going with that part, but like taking the laptops out of school, I would deeply disagree with that because what are they going to do when they get into corporate fields?
So it's not about that. It's not about completely taking them out, meaning like we're going to go to like a Montessori style. Like,
doesn't even make sense to go back. Like, I also, you know,
because they get it. The kids are getting access to technology. I don't think that they will like take laptops out. I think what they did was they started putting everything on laptops. Like there's no paper homework anymore.
Digital.
It's all digital. I think they will find the balance in the middle, which is we understand that kids will need access to technology. They'll need to learn how to do computer programming, and they're going to need to learn how to like utilize AI and determine what's real and what's not real. Like media literacy will be a thing that they will have to start teaching. I don't think they're going to go like a completely like it's 1995 and we don't have that and it's like computer class, we play Oregon Trail. I don't think they're going to do that. But I do think that hey, these kids are overwhelmed. We're telling them that being on technology all the time is not helpful, but yet we're putting them on technology all the time. I think that you will start to see more balance in the tech and in the like paper analog things, also because they're asking for it. Kids' ability to succeed in education is almost completely predetermined on their ability to find it entertaining. If I don't give a shit, I'm not tuning in.
This is one of the rare times I disagree with you, like wholeheartedly.
And you can disagree with me.
So let me explain why though. Like when you say like people are on technology, I think there's like consumptive technology that is like there for your media input and output, right? Like I'm trying to entertain myself. Yeah. And then there's productive technology. I would also go into the realm of like engineering where like there's an inverse relationship with the advancements in technology and the competency and literacy of people understanding the technology that they're using. Most people have a TikTok or a social media or all these other things, but they have no idea how any of these softwares work like underneath. I mean, people are vibe coding using Claude right now and they have no idea what the fuck they're doing, right? Yeah. So it's like, I understand.
But how many jobs though? That's like that's pigeonholed to like engineering. I in marketing I need to know what AI is and I need to know that, but like I use Word in my like job every day, Google Calendar.
So let me kind of like piggyback off of this though, because technology is like an exponential curve in terms
Yeah.
of growth. Like, so like, it's not like 1 to 2 to 3, it's 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16.
Yeah.
It's exponential. I would make the argument that like in our own lifetime, we've seen such advancements in technology that are now on the precipice of exponential growth. So like, I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, there's schools now in Missouri that are taking cell phones away. They're saying, hey, you
Yeah.
can't have your cell phone
No,
on
all schools are.
in
It's
the
a
school.
law.
And by the way, I think like that is kind of what you're saying. Like that is a benefit because what are you doing on your phone? Like you're on social media, you're
Yeah.
texting people, all these other things. Like, no, be here in the now. I think you keep the laptop for the email, to be able to submit your assignments, to type out your paper. I don't necessarily think that the answer is to go back and teach people cursive and handwrite on a pen and paper. I don't think that's necessarily the
know
solution.
that is the case, but what I can
I think
tell
you can hamstring in certain criteria.
But here's a very real example, and I'm so excited to revisit this conversation in 5 years when your daughter is like in
Older.
school and like doing it. Like math.
I hope I don't eat a bunch of shit.
Math on a laptop for kids
Tough.
that need to like physically cross the paper and do that. Like now they can gamify their way through it by like figuring out the logistics of how the software works, and they're not actually retaining the information, right? So there are certain concepts that and a lot of kids are not digital learners. I am the type of person that like I actually note taking. I still today in my corporate meetings, like even though I'll have like we have tools that will like capture and TLDR the meetings for you, which I find immensely valuable. I also handwrite notes because for my own memory and retention, that helps. There are a lot of kids that learn better when they are literally like 1 + 1 is 2. There's like a visceral, it slows you down. It helps you retain the information. It helps you track out what you're doing. Doing that with typey type is, especially in things like math and the more complicated math gets, very difficult for kids to maintain. And so I do think that like it's not literally about writing an essay. That was a not great example, but there are lots of things like science and math that are better and easier for some kids to learn when they are physically able to write on a paper. But there are some schools that do not do math on paper at all. Yeah. It's a like multiple choice, click the button, figure it out. There was an example where my daughter, when she was in elementary school, and she's about to be a senior in high school, so this has like been some time. When she was in elementary school, it was probably like 5th grade, we got a call. And they were like, so we need to talk to you about her like use of technology and the way that she's like utilizing the math program. And I was like, okay. And they said, well, she's not really doing the work. And I go, what do you mean? And they said, well, she's figured out that there's no penalty for being wrong. And so she'll multiple choice her way through the thing to get the right answer, because the reward in the math thing is like when you finish the lesson, you got like a it was like a paper doll, you got like a cosmetic, and she wanted to collect all the cosmetics. So she was zooming through the math as fast as she could to finish the thing, to get the cosmetic, to get to the end. And they were like, so she's gone from, it might have been like 3rd or 4th grade, because she'd gone all the way up through 5th grade. She'd finished all of like the curriculum for like 3 years in a very short amount of time. And they were like, so she's not doing it right. And I was like, well, that feels like a you problem. Like you picked a software that allowed there to not be penalties or time restrictions or gates or like whatever. And so I said, well, why don't you give her an assessment to figure out, like a paper assessment, and figure out exactly where she's retained information up to, so we can then go back and put her in the right category of math to whatever. Turns out, kid actually retained all the information and had zoomed through 3 years of math, right? Some kids are doing that. Some kids are not. My daughter is a unique child in the way that her brain works, and she was able to logic her way through why the answers were right and wrong. But now as she's gotten into like advanced algebra 2 and calculus and all that kind of stuff, she's having a really hard time because her attention span on the like going through the math and physically showing your work and doing all that, she can't do it because she was gamifying the system when she was 8 and 9 and 10 years old. And now we're struggling when it's older, more complex math because you can't do that.
Yeah, it's not 1 or 2 steps. It's
not 1 or 2 steps. And so I do think that, again, it's not just about their handwriting being bad, which it's atrocious, or like other things, or being able to write the papers. AI is not problematic when it comes to like helping me figure out sources and like help me figure out what's wrong with my paper. I don't have any problem with that. But I do think that the reliance on technology from such a young age does train their brains into gamifying certain things, where then when they get stuck, right? This was like sight reading versus phonics. Do you know what that is in elementary schools? They'll hold up
visual learning versus...
They'll show you like a flashcard that says CAT, and they'll go, this means cat. And so kids will like see the word CAT and they'll go, that means cat. but they don't mean that C goes k, A means ah, T means t. So when they encounter a word they don't know, they literally cannot sound it out because they don't know phonics. And schools for a while were doing like sight words. And they would just be like, this word is book. And the sight words just got more and more complicated like as they went, instead of taking phonics, which takes a lot longer to teach them, so that then when they're young and they encounter a really difficult word they don't know, they could sound it out. Do you remember like as a kid when like we would like read books and you would like do it out and you would be like, they'd be like, read aloud, and you'd be like, literally kill me. And then you would get to a word you didn't know and you'd be like, drug, through the mud or whatever the word was. They don't do that anymore.
Okay, so I will say this.
I care very passionately about education. I'm not even a teacher. I'm like looking at my partner over here who is a teacher, and I care very deeply about it.
I'm not trying to like shit on the public education system. I'm not, but like I would also I think there are
well, it's not just public. Private schools are doing the same thing. It's just education systems.
I think there are two things that are constant. Number one, I would agree with you that people learn in different ways. Like I'm sure my daughter will learn different from me, from my wife, and I'm sure you learn different from your daughter, or maybe you learn similarly, but you're learning different from other people. I don't think that one size has ever fit all.
Correct.
And I think that public education has, not public education, I think education has always been difficult as long as you have 20 kids to a class and you're trying to facilitate
35.
Or 35.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think it's an impossible task. But I do know this for certain.
Yeah.
Regardless of how we feel, the technology that we're talking about is the future.
It's not going away.
It's not going away.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning, it's going to get worse. And competency in technology will supersede all other competency. Knowing how to change your oil will not be as important as understanding your AI prompts. I hate to say it this way.
Dependent though, right? Like yes and no, because we're seeing right now that like tradesmiths, like electricians and plumbers and whatever, make buku dollars because nobody knows how to do it anymore.
Because there was 2 generations of kids that were pushed into universities that should not have been because they were told that white collar work was superseding blue collar work.
Right.
So what you have now is a supply and demand labor shortage for blue collar workers. Yeah. But that's not a reflection of technological advancements.
No.
In fact, you're going to have a whole slew of college graduates this year that are fucked. Because there's just not enough jobs to facilitate the graduates. And more importantly, when you're talking about this technology that we're talking about, the advancements in AI and all that, they obfuscate like who gets laid off first. And who gets laid off first is two groups. Number one, the useless people, or the easy to replace people. And number 2, legacy knowledge. So when Oracle laid off 18,000 workers, I think it was like a month ago, what they didn't tell you is of that 18,000, 80% of them were like, I hate to say it this way, but like they're OPEX, not CAPEX. They're operating expenditures. The money that a corporation pays just to keep the lights on, not necessarily to make money. So we're talking about like HR, recruitment, all these other.
Or they outsourced it.
No, they didn't outsource it. They laid it off because when an economy.
Well, you have to have an HR team.
You don't have to have as much HR.
No. Yeah,
especially when you incorporate a lot of technologies that I'm going to get to here.
Yeah.
So AI technologies, language learning models that can solve the majority of your help desk issues. I know that people don't necessarily want to like use these things, but it is the future. And I'm sorry, but to your point about like that handmade scarf and like that attention to detail, that will become the premium of tomorrow because we're going to outsource so much of this menial labor to technology at the price of the easily replaced, who normally is the college graduate because they are the least experienced. So you're going to start seeing corporations who are actually going to start, I think what's going to happen is this, and I hope I'm not wrong, and I hope that there's a silver lining here. You're going to see mass like automation for entry-level positions like paralegal work, for instance.
Yeah.
But then after the course of 2-3 years, they're actually going to hire people simply to keep them. I don't know if they do like some sort of retainer contract, whatever, but they'll be like, hey, we're going to hire you, not even because we need you, but because we're going to train you so that you can be like a mid or a senior level person in 3 years, because that's actually the stuff that we can't automate. And what our clients want is that human touch. Like, I don't care where technology gets. At the end of the day, I want to shake my accountant's hand. Call me old-fashioned.
Yeah.
But I will pay a premium for that. If I have a lawyer, at the end of the day, I can chat GPT 90% of my law questions. But at the end of the day, if I have to go to court, I'm calling Boris. You feel me?
Because the thing too.
But Boris is not entry level.
Yeah, I do think. Well, and entry level jobs have always been hard to get. I mean, I remember graduating college in 2007 and having a hard time like looking at entry level jobs. And I also face a different barrier in that I graduated at barely 21, so I was also very young, and I looked like I was 15. Like, nobody wanted to hire me. They're like, who is this, like, middle schooler coming? I one time, as a 26-year-old woman, walked into a middle school for a substituting job, and they asked me if I was a new student. I was like, I teach here. So,
how much of a humble brag can we get?
It's not a humble brag. That's, like, embarrassing, right?
That's awesome. You're aging like wine.
Oh, my God. And so...
Not like Adam.
Yeah.
Adam's aging like milk. Adam's
he's
19.
Actually like
he's
13.
19 going on 40.
Yeah, he's Benjamin Button over here. But
he looks like he's been paying taxes the majority of his life.
So they like, so I had a really hard time finding entry-level jobs when I was that young. And they were hard back then.
In what field though? Marketing?
Yeah, I did marketing. Yeah, I did corporate comms, at the time. And even now, like, the teams that I hire, our entry-level jobs are very rare that are open. We don't open them very often. And then once we get people, we want to keep those people, and we want to train them to bring them, right? But the roles that I hire for require extreme levels of expertise in certain areas. And so what I will say is that you can find entry-level jobs, and it's easier to find entry-level jobs when you have a very specific set of experiences. The people who will have the hardest amount of jobs are people who are just, like, generically marketing. But, like, if you are a marketing person and you, like, really, really know League of Legends or esports or something, it's probably easier for you to go get one of those jobs, because the number of people that have the Venn diagram of deep knowledge, expertise in marketing and deep knowledge, expertise of this game is very small, right? And so I do think, I used to tell kids, and I still do every year when I participate in the middle school job fair, what I tell them is, like, a lot of kids want to be like YouTubers and streamers, and they want to do all these things. Cool. Like, you should love video games, and you should, like, have all of these things, and you should go get knowledgeable about TikTok. Hiring a TikTok, like, content social media person who actually understands how to, like, play the algorithm and make the content and marry it to, like, I have to deliver a corporate message. How am I going to get a corporate message to land with a TikTok audience? Very rare. But you can love video games and not be a streamer, and actually then say, I love this specific game, or I love Jeep, or I love, like, I don't know, vegan food, and I have this expertise over here, and I'm going to apply that to those roles. You will get a job like that. But the problem is that most people aren't doing that. They're like, going to college, I'm doing a thing, I don't have a hobby, right? We were just talking about, like, people don't have hobbies anymore. Like, a hobby.
They don't have fucking time to have hobbies.
Well, no, they just don't want
Everybody
to.
I don't know about that one. Because, like, the majority of the people I know, like, I've monetized my hobbies. But, like, the majority of the people I know are working, like, 2 fucking jobs just to make ends meet right now. The fact of the matter is, like, it's a counter. Everything you just said, I don't disagree with, and I actually agree with. Like, that's where I see the market's going, is, like, hyper-utilization and hyper-fixation on a certain task and amplifying it through whatever passion that you have to, like, to give that value add. Yeah. I'm not just an engineer. I'm an engineer in this criteria. I'm not just an accountant. I'm a corporate accountant or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm a legal counsel for a corporation, not just a lawyer, right? So it's like that value add. But the problem with that is it's counterintuitive to what a human wants to do, because what a human wants to do is be malleable. You're better off. Yeah. You actually, not anymore. You used to be better off by having skills that would transcend your current employer, because then that gave you the empowerment. Like, okay, I want to make $200,000 a year being this coder. Okay. Yeah. And then this firm or this game developer, whatever, doesn't offer me that. Well, it's Unreal Engine 5, and I know that there's 30 other games that are using UE5, so I can take my skill set and say, okay, I can take that to the open market. It's a skill that transcends, and I can see what the value in the open market is. But the problem with fixation is, if I only work on League of Legends, then I only know how to work on League of Legends. That's kind of like a bad example,
inverse,
but
right? I think what we're saying the same thing, but we're talking about it at different points in a career. Right? So what happens is like right now, if you are just like generically okay at everything, you're not going to get the job. You're going to get beat out by somebody who has the deep craft expertise and the expertise in whatever like the industry is that you're going into or the position calls for, right? So let's use like, I work on World of Warcraft, right? I am an engineer. I'll use my own thing. I'm a community manager, and I am like, have played WoW for 20 years. I know everything about World of Warcraft. I have this community experience, I'm like deep into it, right? They open a community role. If I have community, but I've never played World of Warcraft, they're not going to give me that job, right? But if I have deep expertise and I've done community, I'm now the best expert. As I go through my career, my job is then to start picking up as many other translatable skills and then be able to, as I grow in my career, be like, I'm not going to stay at World of Warcraft for 20 years. I'm going to stay here intentionally for 5 years, and then I'm going to grow here. Like my experience, I had no experience in community, was not my skill set. I was a content creator who knew how to get other content creators rallied around a moment. Twitch was like, hey, can you come do that for us? I was like, yes. What is community marketing? What is doing all these things? I don't know. I have a comms degree and I understand nonprofits and I get streamers. I learned over 7 years how to then go get back and get marketing specialties, learn how to make a go-to-market campaign, learn how to do all of these different things. And then when I went to Riot, they were like, ooh, now we want you to also oversee social media. And I was like, well, I have social media. I don't know what building a social strategy looks like. I hired an expert. I learned from them. I grew from that. Now I could go anywhere else and be like, it doesn't even have to be games at this point. I could go to, I don't know, Starbucks and be like, I understand how to like make these user behaviors, or like the number of recruiters I get that are like, we work for Yelp, we work for this. Like, do you want to come work for us? Because now I've got so much broad experience that it doesn't just have to be games. But when I was at Twitch, I don't know that I could have like gone and done like corporate marketing at some other like, you know, just like B2C company. Like I probably would not have succeeded there. So I think what it used to be is you wanted to be as generic as possible and then gain a subject matter expertise. I think now you want to have an expertise to get your foot in the door and then build out those generic skills so that you can go anywhere else.
I would also add just to build experience. Because
Yeah.
I hate to say it now, like we're in roles where we're hiring people and like I want to be careful how I say this. Having graduated is now like it means nothing to me. Because the majority of the people that are applying, especially if it's like an entry level role, like having the degree is like the barrier to entry. It's no longer the accolade. It's
the experience. We hire people all the time that haven't finished their college degrees because they're an expert. It's specifically what I want.
But isn't that so counterintuitive? It goes back to my thing about like education. Like we told 2 generations of kids and now a 3rd generation of kids, go to school, go to school, go to school. You'll have a better life. But I think the better way to describe that now is like, I want to be careful how I say this. I think credentials matter. And I think that going to school, finishing something,
and
having
the maturity.
A degree. Yes. At the very least, it shows me 2 things. That you can finish something you started and you have time management skills. And I can work with that. And third thing, you can learn.
Yes.
Because I would make the argument that like every job can be taught.
Well, and I think there's structure. There's a lot of like, I got an assignment and I think the assignment's BS, but I have to do it anyway. Like there's a lot of just like soft skills that you learn in a school environment, professionalism, how to disagree if a teacher gives you a grade on a paper you don't like, right? Like how to handle conflict. Like there's a lot of things you learn in college that have nothing to do with like the college classes.
I know where you're going to go with this, and I'm going to counteract already. I would make the argument that a lot of those bad entitlement thoughts are taught in college.
It's been so long since I've been in college, and
it's a different game now, girl.
It probably is. I mean, I'm old and I'm, 40, but like I can tell you for me, I just went back last summer and got a specialization in marketing certification from Harvard. And I have over a decade of specialty experience that like a lot of people in my field do not have. Like I have subject matter expertise that constantly companies are going like, can you help? Can you consult? Can you do all these things? We can't find anybody who can do it. Even me and a very specific subject matter expertise with over a decade of experience who has built a career, who has done all these things, I'm still going back to school and being like, I need to grow. I need to learn. I need to make sure that I'm on the forefront of understanding how these things are happening. I don't want to only pigeonhole myself into this, but like if I ever wanted to grow, it's probably broadly marketing. I need to understand UA. I need to understand this. And I am in my free time proactively going out and being like, how do I understand? How do I learn? I took an analytics class so that when my insights team comes to me and gives me data, I know when to question the data or when to believe that it's the sample size is big enough, because I wanted to know not to just accept what was being told to me on face value. And so I do think that you don't get into a career and stop. You don't get into a career and just because you have 8 years of experience, now you're an expert. Like things happen outside of your company. Things happen outside of your industry. And you should understand what's going on in other places. You should understand how humans are evolving so that you can be like, oh shit, I want to get on the forefront of that. If I know for me, analog is becoming more and more important, people's perceptions of digital events or in-person events have shifted, how do I take that information and apply it to my business so that I stay in touch with the people who are using my product? You have to learn to do that. You have to be constantly aware all the time. And so I mean, I didn't do that when I was 25. I was like, fuck, I got a job. I gotta make ends meet. I'm wage twisting on the weekends. And I think you do get the luxury as you get older and you make a little bit more money and you have a little bit more to like invest in yourself. And if you work for a company that does, like my company offers education reimbursement, I didn't have to pay out of pocket to take those Harvard classes. I got those covered for me. And so the company invested in me and the ability to do that. So I do think that like all of these things considered, it's a very hard job market for a lot of people out there. I do think that finding the job is not just good enough. I think it's the expertise married with the skill set of the industry that you want. That's like the trend that people are wanting. I need people who understand that. Could you do the job? Yeah. Are you going to do as good of a job as somebody who has the craft and the industry expertise? No. And I'm going to go for that person every time. And the problem is there's so many people who want to work right now and who need to work that like you're getting thousands of applicants in 24 hours of a job opening.
And it's also completely inverse from how it was in COVID, because during COVID, when a lot of money was getting flushed into the market, you saw these companies hiring in mass. And it was actually the power for the first time in my life had shifted to the employee and not the employer.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw people starting to make demands that I thought was like, I was like, dude, you want how much for your role? Like you're maybe not entry level, but you're like the tertiary, secondary level, whatever. I was like, you're asking for how much? And demands. Like, I want this, I want hybrid, I want these. And I'm like, I just want you to know that, and I work for a company with 100 people, 150 people now. We're growing, thank God. But and then I have my company, and I'll tell you this right now, like, if someone comes into an interview with me and like starts telling me what I'm going to pay them, what they want from me, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. You're not going to tell me what your value is.
I'm going to tell you what the value is.
I'm going to tell you what the value is of the work that I need done. And if
well,
you don't want to take it, you don't have to take it.
Well, and that's the thing is like you can ask for all those things and that's fine. And I can also tell you I'm not going to give that to you. And it's not a personal insult. It's that I know what the ROI of your work is. I know what I can afford, and that's what it is.
That's not the case though, because how many times do you tell people like I can't do that for you, and they take it as a personal insult?
Oh no, I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that like it isn't a personal thing. It's a spreadsheet thing.
I agree with you. I tell people up front, the number one thing I start with is pay. Yeah. I'm like, hey, wherever you're thinking, I'm not going north of this. Yeah. And if you want that number that I just said, that is like my threshold, like that's
this
my red line.
This is what I expect you to bring.
If I said that this role is going to be 110, okay, well, let me tell you what 110 looks like versus 90. If you're coming straight out of college, no experience, you're going to get the 90. Why would I give you the 110? If you're coming out of college and you also have 2 years of like internship work while you were in school, you just showed me that you could work a full-time job and handle work, I'll give you 110.
The other thing that's been really interesting is being like a people manager and like
that's the fun part.
I love it actually.
Really?
I've had so many conversations with people at work where I actually like the thing that I think most people hate. I love change management. I love people management. I love mentoring people. I love like helping get people from like I never want to be a manager. That seems like effing terrible to like, oh my God, I'm a manager and I love it. And like, here's what I do. I love that whole messy human process of the side of my work.
Just a curious question. Did you inherit your team or did you pick your team?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously when I started at my current job, it was just me. And then I had to build out an org that ended up being about 80 people at its max. And then some of those folks, though, happened through like org structure where they would say like, okay, Aaron, we now want you to oversee this specific capability. It comes with a team. So it was a little bit of like, I hired some people. I hired people who hired people. And so it wasn't Aaron hired all 80 of those people. I hired people that I thought would hire the type of people that would be good for the organization and the business. But I do get a lot of the like mentorship side of things. So, you know, every year you have to have a sit down and have a conversation and say, this is what your raise is going to look like. And, you know, here's what your bonus is going to be. And like, this is what it is. And what does that mean for your future promotion? Or, you know, when am I going to get promoted? Like those types of questions. And I went through this myself probably 2 years into my current role, where I was like very fixated on like the promotion and the next step and the title and the this and the that and the whatever, right? Like I was locked in on like, this is what I want. And I got some feedback that was like, hey, you should focus on the work. And I was like, well, that's easy for you to, you know what I mean? Like I kind of took it really personal. And I had a minute where like I sat down and I looked at what was happening in the industry and I looked at like what I was doing and I looked at what other people in my career were doing. And I was like, I got to figure out like, is the title the thing that I really care about at this point in time? Or like, what actually makes me happy in my job? And like reevaluating I have a number that I want to make. Do I make that number? I have a amount of growth I want to have in my role every year. But is the growth a bigger team? Because when I had a team of 80, I was like, I am not doing justice by these 80 people. Like, I am not.
Well, that's too much for any person.
Well, right.
That's
right.
crazy.
Well, and I wasn't directly managing 80, but I had like managers of managers of managers.
Yeah.
And when you like umbrella the org, it was like 80 people. And there were other organizational reasons why I was like, hey, like, this is like too big. So it's not the growth of people. I already oversee 5 different disciplines. Do I need to take on more? Probably not. Like, that's not the growth that I want. Like, what is it I want to do? Do I want to learn more? Like, how do I know that I'm progressing in my career? Because I'm not going to be like the CEO of community. Like, at some point I've hit my barrier. Do I care to go more? Do I care to not go more? And simultaneously, I had a really interesting conversation with one of my team members who came to me and was like, I expected more in a raise, and like, this is what I want, and, you know, this is what I need. And we had like a 55-minute conversation
with an individual?
with individual about the pay and like what their expectations were and why they felt like we weren't meeting the expectations and like what was going on. And I said at the end of the conversation, and I said, you know, I hear what you're doing. Like, be real with me. Like, how close are you to leaving over this? Like, I need to know. And they were like, oh, I love my job. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, yeah, I love my job. Like, I'm not going to leave over this. And I was like, then why did we just spend 55 minutes talking about it? Like, if I could get you that amount of money that you wanted, but I took away this other thing that I like about your job, would you be happy? And they were like, no, I would actually hate my job and I would leave if you did that. And so I had to start framing conversations with people where they would come to me from a singular lens of like, I'm mad about how much money I make. And I would go like, what's your Yelp score for your job? Is it 3 out of 5? Is it 4 out of 5? Is it 5 out of 5? And how much does the pay contribute to that score? Because they would often come to me then it would feel like I would get them more pay. And then they'd come and they'd be like, well, now I want a different job title and I should get a promotion and I should get this, or like, I want to work on this other thing and I need this opportunity. And the goalposts were constantly fucking moving, and it was exhausting as a manager. And so both personally for myself, what do I need out of my job? But then professionally as a manager, I had to start having these conversations and mentoring my team through like, I want you to be happy at your job, but you're probably not going to have a 5 out of 5 Yelp score. You're probably going to have a 4 out of 5. And I need to know when I'm pulling different levers to make sure that you have at least a 4 out of 5, that I am not pulling the wrong one, right? That I don't like Kronk pull the lever and then you're like gone. I need to know that if I get you more pay, but I take away a responsibility that you really enjoy because I have to put more responsibility on your plate to get you that money, now you're at a 2 out of 5. That's not the right call. And if I like can do everything else, but your pay is $5,000 short of the delta, are you really going to leave over that?
No. If they do, then let them go.
Well, right.
They don't see the forest for the trees.
Right. And there have been times where I've had people that I love and they are great at their job and they are wonderful to work with. And I could not like give them more props and like would advocate for them and I would write them letters of recommendation tomorrow. But I've also had some of those people where I've had to be like, I don't think this is the job for you. Yeah. Right? Because
or it could be the job, just not here. The culture here might be different.
And it's not even the culture. It's like you want to grow into this thing where you're now responsible for multiple different things. I can't give you that. Like, I'm just not. And the number of people that I've had leave, it's not very high, but I have had people where I've had those conversations and been like, look, I don't want you to go, but I got to be real with you. Like, if these are all of the things that you want, the job I can give you looks like this. It's not the job that you just described to me. And they'll find another job and they'll go get the experience. And then a year to 2 years later, I'm like, hey, do you have anything that's like opening up? Like I've learned, right? And they want to come back, which is great. Cause I care about the people that I work with enough that it's like, look, if you want to go somewhere else because it's better for you, I have no like animosity towards that. I actually want you to be happy, healthy, thriving. I want you to go out into the industry and like do awesome stuff. Like I want you to make the world a better place. And if you can't do that here, definitely like go do that where you can do that. And if you ever want to come back, doors open, right? Like I care about the people more than I care about that because there's a ton of talent in the industry. There's a lot of people who want that opportunity to get the experience, to get the mentorship, the whatever. And I don't want you to stay here and be miserable. I want you to go do what you want to do. And usually they'll be there, but you have to have those like real conversations. And I have found that even, like I said, I used to be guilty of the, like, it's the title. And then it's like, if I got that title and then I had to oversee 3 more teams, I'd be fucking miserable. I don't care about that anymore.
I want to be careful how I say this. It's funny that you say that you have like that number to you. I don't know.
It's not a number specifically, it's a quality of life. It's a like I want to be able to do certain things, and then that's where
that's
like
the part okay, let me ask
I'm
you a
content
question.
enough.
Let's say someone offered you, I'm just gonna throw some random numbers out there. Let's say it's $500,000 a year, but you're miserable for like 5 years. But then in that 5 years, you can make you make enough money to where you wouldn't have to work anymore. This is kind of like a bad example because 500K is not enough. But like, let's say whatever that number was, you'd be utterly miserable for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then after 5 years, you had enough capital on hand to where you were good. Or you could work for the next 20 years, making a quarter of that, but you were content with your life or happy with your work-life balance. Because like, that's how I look at it. For me, it's like, I don't care what I have to do. Like I have a singular goal, and that's like legacy wealth. And I will fucking rub my knuckles on the ground if I have to the day that I die to hit that number. And like, to me, titles don't matter. To me, work-life balance is, I gotta be careful what I say because I did have a phone call with you that one time. But like, for the most part, work-life balance doesn't matter. Like, to me, it's like, it is the number.
Yeah.
I need to hit a certain number. And I'll piggyback off of this because capitalism gets a bad rap about like this constant need for growth. But it's like, capitalism is a reflection of the people that go into it, and they need a constant level of growth. Yeah. Like, no one wants to go into an entry-level position, make $50,000 a year, or let's just say, because it's the year of our Lord 2026, $100,000 a year, because, you know, 6 figures is the new 4 figures or 5 figures. So let's say you make $100,000 a year. Next year, you're going to want rate of inflation plus your whatever your raise is, right? So if inflation is 3%, I want a 5% for my quote unquote growth in this company, in this industry. I want 8% minimum. Well, what does that mean for the company? That means if everybody at minimum wants an 8% year over year increase in their salary.
Nobody can do that. Companies will go out of bankrupt if they do that, but yeah.
Agreed, but I'm just high level example. It's like, well, then that company has to also grow.
Well, yeah. I think I have not ever been a particularly money motivated person, and that, like, to me, building generational wealth is not like my end goal.
It'll be different.
Yeah, no, we're very different in that way. I mean, I'm lucky that I have a lot of financial stability. I am very fortunate in, you know, the things that I have, and I've been able to work hard to be able to achieve those things. I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't like tomorrow be like, I just like want to go like feed goats and make $20,000 a year. Like, I wouldn't go do that, right? So I do balance the like, hey, I have life goals of wanting to retire at this age. How much do I need to be able to do that? I want to be able to live my life. Like, what is that? But like, I had a conversation with my financial person, and we were talking about like legacy planning and like when you leave, how much money do you want to leave to like certain people? And he was like, do you want to like have an endowment fund where like you leave $1 million to a charity of your choice? And I was like, no. Like, I want to leave some money and I want to like be able to do things, but like my goal is to make sure this happens and that I have enough to like live my life, and like I want to make sure my kids have something, but it doesn't need to be like a gajillion, $100,000, $1 million. So I don't have like that as my goal. But I am a very different person in that my mom told me something one time when I was young. And when I was just being a single mom, and I was like struggling, and I was working 2 different jobs. I was like doing Twitch and YouTube at the time, and I was working this like really shitty tech job, and I was working all the time, and I was a shell of a human being. I was not myself. I found that I wasn't being the mom I wanted to be. I wasn't being the partner I wanted to be. I wasn't being the daughter I wanted to be. I wasn't being the friend that I wanted to be. And I remember having this moment with my mom where I was like crying, and I was like, I feel like I'm failing everybody, and I'm working my ass off, and it's not good enough, and I can't figure it out. And my mom said, you can't be a good anything if you're not a good you, and you aren't a good you right now. And so when you ask me, like, if I was fucking miserable for 5 years, would it be worth it? No, because I wouldn't be a good wife, I wouldn't be a good mom, I wouldn't be a good friend, and how I treat the people around me is more important than building that money to like not live. I would rather work until the day that I die and have time with my family and have time with my friends and find balance and quilt NICU blankets like I'm doing right now because it makes me feel good to do that than I would to have this like generational wealth at the expense of, because what if 4 years through that 5 years I died?
Yeah.
Would it have been worth it to me? The answer to me would be no, it wouldn't be. And so I've shifted a lot in that like grind hustle mentality because I wasn't a good me, and it was making me fucking miserable. I wanted to be good for everyone around me and for myself more than I needed the like money and the grind at the end of the day, because that to me didn't make me happy. I mean, listen, I have money and I like money makes things a lot easier. You have options when you have money, which reduces stress significantly. But I wouldn't like, if somebody came to me and was like, because this actually is a real world scenario, they're like, I'll pay you double what you make today, but you're going to work for this company that doesn't align with your values. I was like, nope, not going to do it. I cannot.
Double? Mm-hmm. Damn, man.
And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I don't think it's worth it. I know I would be stressed out. I know I would bring that stress home. I know that would reflect in the parenting, the way that I parent my daughter. She doesn't deserve that, right? And my partner doesn't deserve that, and I don't deserve that. And so I just don't want to do it. But I'm like different in that way. That is me specifically. I don't judge anybody who doesn't think that. That's me.
I think it's the correct approach. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand fully well that like my mentality is definitely archaic and like the toxic grind work culture, and perhaps like a bit of it is like from like the immigration mentality of like when I saw my parents just grind it out, you know what I mean? So like maybe it's kind of like engraved in me. But I will also say that there's like this, I don't necessarily think that your approach solely will work, nor will mine. I think
I think there's a hybrid.
Well, I also think it's times to pick and choose.
Yes.
So like you can say like I'll make the comment of like I'll fucking work a miserable job for 5 years if that means I can retire afterwards. You know what I mean? Yeah. But would I really retire? No, I'd go do something else. I'd start a business. I would do something else, right?
Yeah.
But what we really are saying are like the value of my time is so important to me that I'm willing to give a small portion of it. Not small. 5 years is a long time. I'm willing to give a portion of it up, a minority portion for the majority portion to then do whatever I want to do, whenever I want to do it. However, to your point earlier where you were like, there's a lot of people that think like once they get their foot through the door, they're not necessarily growing. They're not necessarily trying to get more credentials. Yeah. They're not necessarily trying to acquire new skill sets. They're kind of just like, quote unquote, checking the box.
They're coasting.
So it's like, I agree that a toxic grind culture will grind you into the ground and leave you inept for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, the mentality of, I want to be comfortable and I want to have this perfect work-life balance and I want to only do the things I want to do and all that. Okay, that's fine. Like you can do both. But understand that both might not get you to the promised land. You might grind yourself into the ground and you might be so comfortable that you never get to where you want to go.
Well, and I think that we've talked about it because I love my job. I like my job. But I also really want to open like a bed and breakfast. Like that is like my hallmark dream is like open a bed and breakfast. I don't want to do it as a retirement plan. I don't want to be 65 opening up a bed and breakfast and like risking a business, right? And so we've talked about like what would that look like? And I could like YOLO today and being like, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna go get a business loan and I'm gonna like do me, right? I could do that. It would put our retirement at risk. It would put like all of these things at risk. And so could I do it? Do I have confidence that I could succeed? Yeah. Do I have confidence that I could make the money that I make now? No, right? And so the plan is like, okay, well, I'm not tired yet. I love my job. I'm not unhappy. Like, you know, if anything were to happen, maybe that would be like the universe is like forcing, you know, if I lost my job tomorrow, maybe I would YOLO it then, right? But, you know, in a real world scenario, the answer is at some point in my life where I feel like there's not too much financial risk, I would do that and I would still keep consulting and doing what I do now to help with our family being able to do the things that we want to do and the goals we want to do. I think there is definitely you got to be real at some point and go like, it's very hard to walk away from the money, the security, the stability, the this and the that. But I also have things I want to do, and you do have to do both. And it's hard to find that balance. So, you know, I am not so like hippie, like free love of just like the universe will like do what you want. I mean, I do like love my crystals and my astrology and my woo-woo shit. But there is that like, hey, I know that like in order to help provide for my family, I have to have this balance and I can't, you know, do both of those things. But to me, I tend to weigh the work-life balance higher than I used to. But there are times where I definitely am like, I'm working 50 hours this week. Like I have to like work until 8 p.m. I'm not cooking dinner. I have to do those things. It's not 100%. I lean in and out of it.
I'm with you on that one. And my next question is kind of piggyback off of that. Logan, do you mind doing me a favor? That antique 107 red Weller there, will you grab that for me? Let me ask you this question, Aaron.
Yes, Ariane.
Do you think you work harder now? And work harder is a bottom shelf. Far right. Thank you, sir. Yeah, just come on in. It's all good. Thank you. Appreciate you. Do you think you work harder now? And harder is subjective. It can mean, longer hours. It can mean like more brain fatigue. It could be the strain that it has on your relationships. Or do you think that you've already done those hard hours? The reason I bring that up is I work hard today.
Yeah.
But I'll be the first person to tell you, like, it is a shadow of the shit that I've already had to overcome to get to me to where I'm at today. The hard work of today is more like the mental fatigue and stress of the pressure of my decisions.
Yeah.
Where the actual work that I did when I was like fresh out of college, when I was training full time and working full time, like, dude, I did 80-hour weeks fucking easy.
Yeah.
And I did that for like 4 or 5 years. So like now I'm at this position, 50-hour weeks. I hate to say it. Like when someone tells me they work a 50-hour week, I'm like, that's cute. Yeah. Like that's the barrier to entry, dog. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, like, earlier in my career, I definitely remember, especially when Twitch was a startup. I mean, and I was doing YouTube and I was doing content creator stuff. Like I was like flying and filming things for Disney on the weekends. And, Monday through Friday, I was working from, 10 a.m. until 7 or 8 p.m. And then I'd do YouTube stuff from like 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. And then I'd get up and do it again. And I was like somehow in the middle, like being a mom and like doing all that stuff. Yeah. Like that grind was insane. And I was tired because I was like, because I was like physically going all the time. But the stress was a lot lower because it was like, oh, if this one career doesn't work out, whatever, I got another one to like back it up. And like the pressure of like my financial responsibilities was so much lower. And I think I was also like a lot younger. And so everything was like, I'll just figure it out, right? I had rebuilt my life already once and I was like, I could do it again. Now, if I'm like, I got to rebuild this whole career and I've like spent the last 15 years accumulating like what I've been doing, like that's crazy. So I think now the pressure of the decisions that I make have a lot higher impact. Like I am responsible for people's careers decisions. I'm responsible for helping reorg things. I am responsible for like driving strategies that impact the financial success of the business. And if that doesn't go well, like that's on me, dude. And so I might not work as many physical hours, which is like why I have time to like raise chickens and like quilt on the weekends and like do my like, homestead BS. But the pressure is higher, the stress is higher, but the hours are shorter, right? I'm not working 80 hours a week doing all that stuff. Now, I'm working a lot and I work very hard. It's just a different type of
grind.
I am more stressed out now than I was when I was 26 working 3 jobs doing all of that. Because the impact of me fucking up is so much greater. It's like on my family, it's on the people that work for me, it's on all of those things. So like that pressure is so much higher and it gives me a ton of anxiety of like if I lost my job tomorrow and I can't just go get another job like I have today, right? Would I be okay? Yeah. If I had to take a massive pay cut, I'd still be fine, right? Like I could go land and I would be okay. Do I want to do that? Fuck no. Do I like want to like continue my trajectory and work in what I do? Yeah, I want to do all of those things. But it is a different type of stress. So the hard is like different. It's less hours, but the pressure is very intense. It's a lot of things that like, again, like when you're young and you're like an engineer and you like kind of screw up one thing or you like don't show up, it's like when you're like responsible for like the reorganization decision for 50 people, like I don't want it. I impact whether, that kind of stuff. Like that's a lot of pressure.
No. Oh, trust me, I know.
And I take that very seriously. It's not something that I view flippantly. It's not something that I take very lightly. I mean, that stuff during like major moments, like as a people manager, I mean, there are nights where I was like, I just didn't sleep for like 3 days and I'm going like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? And how do I handle this? Or like, I have to deliver difficult news and I know it's going to hurt the person's feelings and I got to do it anyway. Like the amount of like rehearsing I do for like I'm going to practice this in the shower. I didn't used to do that when I was like making spreadsheets. Like I didn't think about that stuff. So it's just, it's different. It's a different type of hard.
I agree. When I was younger and it was just me and like the outcome of errors in my decision-making were solely on me. There was almost a piece to that. Like I was like, okay, whatever. If I fuck up, I lose my job.
Because I know I can handle it. I know I can handle it. I know that I'll be fine.
Not just that, but like, I hate to say it this way, but like, I remember my very first big boy job with my salary, with my responsibilities. Like, I hate to say it this way, if I were to ever have gotten laid off, and I never did, thank God. But if I were to ever have gotten laid off, getting another job equivalent to that would have been relatively easy. Similar to what you were saying about rebuilding. Now, I said this to you, I had a phone call with you a couple months ago where I was kind of like, it's rare that I do this. In fact, I think I only done this like once or twice in our relationship, but I called you because I was like, man, the pressure is on. Yeah, the pressure is on. And there's like another thing that I'm working on right now that's like, just I need it to kind of cross the finish line so I can finally fucking breathe, because I felt like I've been holding my breath for like 8 months now. But I was just telling you, I was like, it's not just like, I'll give you a prime example. So this month, I'll tell you what, this whole shit with Iran has not been good for my trucking company. Like, I've had to go into my own pocket because diesel prices basically just eclipsed my profit margin, which is fine because it's like, you know, you kind of bake it into the sauce of like, I need to have like a little bit of a safety net. Yeah, in case things don't go my way. But like, it's just one of those situations where like, even then, I'm in a position now where like I can do everything right. I can negotiate the contracts perfectly. I can negotiate the pay and the salary and the benefits and everything. And then there are circumstances that can happen irregardless of me. Yeah. And now I have to go into my own pocket just to make payroll and everything go well. And it's fine because like now it's not just me that I'm responsible for. I have 6 families. I got 6 people, their families. There's an abundance of pressure and responsibility. And I know that 6 is like small, but I'm a 33-year-old guy and makes it feel good that I have employees. You know what I mean? I want to take care of them. And I want to take care of their family. I want to make sure that when they go to the doctor, they have their health insurance and they have their 401ks and they have all their shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, I take that responsibility very seriously, but like, I will say that like, I feel like there is no position for me to take that day off like there used to be. I used to be able to be like, fuck this, like whatever, fire me, I dare you. I don't have that anymore. Yeah. Because now other people get hurt if I ever feel that sort of thing.
Yeah. There's an inherent, the impact radius is much higher.
Yes.
Have we talked about, I forget if we talked about this on the podcast, but I like went through a situation when I was like 23 or 24, and it was like the most ungodly, impossible like situation that I don't think any human should ever have to go through. And that situation, and I'm happy to talk about it if we have. Do we talk about when I miscarried? Have we talked about that on the podcast?
No, we did. But if you want to go down that road, cheers.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm happy to like tell the story because it has fundamentally shaped my like entire existence on the amount of like bullshit I can tolerate and willing to tolerate to like an almost unhealthy degree. So when my daughter was like 2, I was pregnant. I was like 4, almost 5 months pregnant, which is pretty far along. We told everybody like everything was happening. And my sister-in-law was pregnant at the same time. And we had been planning her baby shower, and we were going to do like a Saturday brunch. So on Friday, I drove out to my in-laws where the baby shower was going to take place. We were setting everything up from the baby shower, and I was like really fatigued, and my back started to hurt really bad. And I was like, I do not feel good. And they were like, listen, you got a 2-year-old, you've been on your feet all day, you're pregnant, you're probably just tired. Why don't we just like call it for the night? It was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. You know, we're almost done anyway. We'll all just go to bed and we'll wake up tomorrow and we'll do the baby shower. And I was like, okay. So I go to the bathroom to like take a break. And I mean, there was blood everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, something is like super wrong. And I was like freaking out and I was crying and I was like not having a good time. Called my doctor. My doctor was like, Erin, the chance that anything has happened to the baby is like 1%. You've had a healthy pregnancy. We've seen a heartbeat. It's very low risk. You're probably fine. I'll see you on Monday in the office, because I was supposed to go in for the anatomy scan to find out what the gender of the baby was. And he was like, I'll see you on Monday, but if you really feel like you need to go to the ER. And I was like, I gotta fucking go to I won't be able to sleep tonight. I mean, there was a lot. It was a lot. It was like enough that I was like, I've never seen that much blood in my life. And I was like terrified. So we go to the ER in this small town, and my mom was with me because we're throwing this baby shower. And then my husband was with me, and we're like sitting there, and they're like, let's go in. We'll have the ultrasound tech do an ultrasound. And she wouldn't show me the monitor. And I was like, can you at least let me hear the heartbeat? And she was like, I can't tell you anything. And at that point I was like, oh, I know what's going on. So the doctor comes in, basically says, you've like lost the baby. And I'm so sorry to tell you this. You can go home now. And I was like, and then what do you do when you're like pregnant and you're big pregnant? And then they're like, your baby died. you can just go home. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, I just go home? Like, I just go home, right? And so I wasn't just going to go home. I'm throwing a fucking baby shower, right? Like, and so I go home. We have to tell my in-laws that we lost the baby. And they're like, well, you should go home. You should, like, not go to this baby shower. And I said, but if I don't go to the baby shower, everybody's going to ask where I am. And you can't tell them where I am because you don't want to ruin the vibe of the baby shower. And also, my whole family is going to be at the baby shower. So if I go home, I'm also going to be alone. I'm going to go home and I'm going to be utterly alone, having just found out that my baby died, not knowing what I'm supposed to do because my baby is dead and I'm still pregnant, right? Like, I'm panicking and I don't want to be alone. And so I said, I'm going to the baby shower. And they were like, and I said, I also don't want to miss it. Then on top of having lost my baby, I'm like losing the ability to like celebrate my sister and like be part of all these things. And like, it's just insult after insult after injury after injury. And I don't want to do it. And so we got up the next morning. We didn't tell anybody what happened. We threw the baby shower. Everyone came up to me, touching my belly, going like, oh my God, like, have you found out what the gender of the baby is? How are you feeling? How is everything going? They made us take pictures of the pregnant sisters together. Like, and this is less than 12 hours after finding out that I'd lost the baby, right? So the whole time I'm like in completely like dissociated like mode of like what's going on. And so people would be like, how's the baby? And I'd be like, so good. How are you? I heard you move. Like, I just flipped the script constantly. And I did that for like 3 hours, got through the baby shower. At the end of the baby shower, I was like, I'm going to go die now. Like, I literally have nothing. There is nothing in my soul left. I don't have any emotional energy. I don't have physical energy. I don't have mental energy. Like, I have never felt so like a walking dead person. Like, there was nothing left of my body at the end of that 3 hours of like faking and pretending and like doing all this thing. And so I look back on that situation, the fact that I like fucking put 2 feet in front of the other and I kept my shit together and I did what I needed to do and I got through it despite the fact that like I was dead inside and I wanted to have a breakdown every 15 seconds. And every time somebody touched my belly, I was like, just fucking stab me through the heart, right? But I did it, right? And when you do that, every situation in your life does not fucking compare. So when you're like, I gotta go fucking lay people off today, I'm like, well, I fucking got through the baby shower with a miscarriage. Like, I can do this. And so like my like resiliency level is like to an unhealthy like degree because I went through something that nobody should ever have to go through. But in that moment, I was like, I have no good options. I can go through this trauma and be fucking alone. And that seems awful to me. Or I can go through this and kind of like fake it till you make it. And like, which one would you pick? What would you pick? What would you have done in my situation? Because all of it was shit. All of it sucked. All of it was fucking bad. And so now like every situation in my life of like what's difficult is like completely tainted by like I went through the most difficult thing in my life and I like made it through anyway. Nothing will ever be that hard, ever. And like, what do you do? It like it just changes the way your brain works, fundamentally.
First off, I'm sorry.
Well, now you know why I like put up with so much like stuff. But yeah, that's like huge. It has changed my life in the most like significant of ways, including resiliency.
The person you are today and the prices that you had to pay to become that person. I want to be careful how I ask this question. Not as if, you know, you willingly did it and like you chose that outcome or that you would choose it knowing the outcome. Mm-hmm. But I want to be.
Are you going to ask me, am I glad it happened?
No, not that. I'm not going to ask you, are you glad it happened? But what I am going to ask you is, are you happy with who you are today? That being said, a part of who you are today is the prices you've had to pay throughout your life. That's the question I want to ask. I don't want to ask, are you happy about an individual thing happening that led to this? I'm talking about like you today are an accumulation of all the pros and cons that have ever happened in your life. Yeah. And now that at this point, are you happy with the outcome of it? Or, you know, do you feel like you've paid too high a price for where you are? Do you feel like
I mean, I didn't get to pick that price.
That's exactly like that's why I didn't want to say like, are you
Yeah.
glad?
I mean,
This is
Stephen Colbert, aside from anything else, has a quote that he was on I think he was on like Conan O'Brien or Jimmy Fallon, like one of those shows, and they talked about the fact that I think he lost a child, and they were talking about that, and he said, "I have learned to love the thing I most wish had not happened," because like you don't get to pick that. It's not a thing that like you get to decide. But the only thing, right, was it Gandalf that said the only thing we get to do is choose to do with what time we're given, right? And, or whatever that quote is. I didn't get to pick what happened to me. I only got to pick how I responded to that. And I only got to pick what I thought would be the least impactful long term and like what the lowest prices of what it was happening anyway. I wasn't going to get to undo it. I wasn't going to get to beg or barter. I couldn't negotiate my way out of the situation. I couldn't work harder to undo what had been done. I could only do with what had been given in front of me. And so you don't love it, but you have to learn how to love your life despite the thing happening. And so if somebody asks me like, are you happy with your life now? Yeah, I love my life. I'm a very happy person. I have a partner that I love. I love my relationship with my daughter. I have a great relationship with my family. I have amazing friends. I get to do really fun things. I have a career that makes me so happy. Do I wish that thing had happened? No, I don't wish that thing had happened. But am I proud of the fact that I have a life that I love despite that? Yeah, I think that some people experience those things and for whatever reason, it changes their life in a way that they cannot overcome. And that didn't happen to me, and it doesn't change it has changed who I am as a person, but it hasn't changed me for the worse, right? And so you're gonna be changed when traumatic, awful things happen to you. Like my daughter getting in that car accident in front of me in August fundamentally rewired my brain. I have PTSD in cars now all the time because I watched her essentially like almost die in front of me. But you have to learn how to not let those things change you for the worse, right? Because to me, I only get to be here one time. I only get to do this rotation, a couple of times around the sun, and then I don't get to do it anymore. And I want to be able to get the most out of it. I want to be able to be a productive person who makes the world a better place. I can't do that. I can't be a good anything if I'm not a good me. And so if I'm a good me, going back to that whole thing, if I can be a good me despite the bad things happening, then I can do the things I want to do, which is make people better, impact people in positive ways, leave a lasting mark, be a good mom, be a good partner, be a good friend, have great experiences. So, I am proud of the person that I became. I don't, was the price high? I didn't get to pick the price. I got given that situation, whether I wanted it or not. And so, you make lemonade out of lemons or whatever, and that's where we are.
Speaking of
lemonades,
your partner.
Oh yeah, my baby.
Not to caveat, but I didn't want to. First, let me say this before we shift. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate you talking about that. That's very personal.
I thought we'd talked about that before. That's why I didn't bring it up again, because I was like, I thought we talked about this before.
We did, but not on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
So that was a A to B conversation. That's now a C to everybody else.
I'm not shy about it. It's an uncomfortable topic. People don't like talking about it, but it is fundamentally a reason why I think it's important for people to know that part of me, because it explains a lot about why I feel okay handling certain things.
I also think that it's something that more people now than ever are experiencing, either through infertility, through carrying to term. Like, I think I said this last time on the podcast. I'll say it again. When I was like 20 something, getting a girl pregnant used to like horrify me. It used to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, same with all my friends.
Yeah.
Now it's like everyone I know that in their 20s was talking about not getting girls pregnant are like
trying so hard to have kids.
I want to be careful how I say this, because it's not everyone. I don't want to like exacerbate it. But it is a number far higher than I thought it would be. Let me put it that way. That have to go through IVF, that have to do all these other things, that are having to get external assistance. All the girls I know are
freezing their eggs.
Yes.
Yes.
So like it's just,
fertility is a much bigger deal now than I think it has ever been.
And
yeah, it's very top of mind.
The thing that hit me the hardest was when you were talking about you know, it was already 4 or 5 months. We had already told everybody. That was one of the things that we did.
Yeah.
When Bruna was pregnant with Adriana, like we waited to tell people because we're like, hey, we know
Stuff happens.
well, we saw it. We know how many people that like, you know, I don't. Oh my
My
gosh.
cousin didn't tell anyone she was pregnant until the baby was born. She hard launched her baby. It's true.
We didn't do that. We didn't do that.
We had a baby shower because like immediate family knew that she was pregnant. But in her like social media posts and stuff, when she would go out, she would intentionally like obscure her belly so that people didn't know until the baby was born.
We waited about 4 or 5 months until we told people because we were also so just like petrified because like, you know, everybody around us was having issues.
Oh, it was awful. And then nobody knew how to handle it. And then some people wanted to avoid you. And then some people, I mean, there was the fallout of the miscarriage wasn't just the baby shower and then everybody knew it and it was fine. I mean, that fallout lasted years.
Yeah.
It was one of the main contributors, I think, to why we got divorced, actually. So, like, I mean, the impact of that is very significant on people's lives.
Well, though I am upset that you had to pay a price like that to be the person you are, I also really love the person you are.
Thank you.
So at least some fraction of good came from that.
Yeah.
But like I said, we were talking about your partner.
Yeah.
2 podcasts ago, because I'm considering
Favorite
this
chick.
podcast now. The first time you were on here, we talked strictly about...
We just started dating.
No. The first time you were on here, it was not the case.
I was getting divorced, yeah.
You were getting divorced. We
Yeah.
didn't talk about the divorce.
Yeah.
Second time we were on here, you guys had just started dating. That was actually the first time I think I met you.
We talked about the dating.
He got on the podcast.
He was,
By the way, Eric is in studio again. He's on our chair. No camera, unfortunately. The budget will go up one day, I promise. But yeah, I remember the second time we were talking about how you guys met on the dating app
Bumble.
and how you had a completely different experience on a dating app than Eric.
Yeah.
Go figure. Men versus women's experiences on dating apps tend
But
to...
aren't you glad where it landed? He says perfect.
He said perfect. Yeah.
He didn't say, they wouldn't know if he said perfect or not. We'll just pretend he said perfect.
And then the last time you were here, I think we were just talking about the relationships in general.
Yeah.
How you're traveling through life and how relationships change.
Yeah.
So now we go to this point where, once again, you travel through life and relationships change. First of all, damn girl, you like Thanos? You're just collecting gems at this point?
You said that, and I was like...
I was like, you're Tom Brady, just collecting rings.
It is not. I don't like that.
All right, J-Lo.
I don't. I told Eric the only way that our marriage can end is in death. I said I can't be divorced again, so if we're going there, just push me in front of a bus.
I will say this, perhaps I'm being a little obtuse when I say this. I feel like Eric is probably different than any of the other partners you've had.
Yeah, I would like to say that I've done a lot. I mean, you and I have been friends for a very long time, and I've done a lot of like therapy, I've done a lot of soul searching, and I was like, listen.
Why did you say the therapy after you and I have been friends a long time?
Well,
and I had to do a lot of
No, because you knew me 10 years ago, like right when I started. And
everyone's gonna think like I was the reason. No. She was cool as a cucumber.
No, Ariane's my therapist, actually. Yeah, I think I've done a lot of growth and a lot of soul searching, and I don't like the fact that I've been married multiple times. It's like, it is an insecurity of mine. It's like something that I don't take seriously. And I hear comments that people make in either not even about me, but like other people when they talk about people who've been married multiple times, and it always feels a little bad. Like you're stupid or you made wrong decisions, or one of the things that somebody said to me was that I don't take it seriously, that like I don't value the like sanctity of marriage, and I don't think that, and that hurts because I do, right? I care about it very deeply.
Well, they clearly don't know you, because I remember leading up to the JP, like you exhausted all options.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It wasn't a
it's
decision
not as if,
we
like,
got
you
to
just
lightly.
chose.
No, it wasn't.
And then also hearing about the first marriage and some of the variables that had culminated in that relationship. These are monumental things that can happen, that can shift and change people.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing about like getting married young too, because you did get married young. Is like
I was
you
engaged
change.
at 19.
People change. The person you were at 19 versus 25 versus 30.
And I genuinely think that doesn't mean that like when two people change, you should not stay married. I don't
Agreed.
I don't agree with that. Like I think Eric and I at 40 will be different at 50, will be different at 60. And I feel like we have a relationship where we can grow together. I think there are people who can grow together, and I think there are people who grow apart. And for different personality reasons or traumatic experiences or infidelity or whatever the like case may be, I think sometimes like people experience things that is insurmountable in order to like have a healthy relationship. And at the end of the day, a healthy relationship and a healthy home is what is important, because it detracts from your ability to like, that impacts your kids. It impacts a lot of people other than just like, are you married or not married? And so I definitely like do value the sanctity of marriage. I do take it very seriously. It's not like a thing that I enter in lightly. And we had a lot of conversations about that, like very early on, even like when we first started dating, and I was like, I've been divorced. Like, this is how I view things. Like, this is what I'm looking for. I think it was probably pretty early. It might've been before actually our first date, where I was like, I need to like get this all out. Cause like, it is a thing that I'm insecure about, and it is a thing that I want to talk about, but I do very much want to be in a partnership. I want somebody to go through life with. I want to be a wife, and I want to like have a familial unit. I want us to be able to experience life together, and I want us to be able to do those things. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you could do that and not be married. Sure. And that's like great for some people, and that is what it is. But
could you have done that? Just
yeah,
for
I
argument's sake.
So. Yeah, I think so. I don't think that like being married.
You cohabitate, you live together.
Yeah, I don't think like being
you're committed
married,
to each other.
Yeah, I don't think that would have changed. I don't think being married will change our relationship, but it does, to me, change some of the like logics, like how we share our finances and how we do different things, because then there's the legality of the things behind it, and there's like some different things. I don't think you have to do that, but
yeah, I was gonna say
yes. I don't want to get into that part of it.
Yeah.
That's like a very personal value that I hold. And so I think we could have been very happy continuing to be together forever and not being married, but I definitely like wanted to be his wife. So
I would agree with you at the perception of marriage. Like when I was younger, I just assumed that, you know, a man and woman, they meet, they get married, and they stay together forever. And then over the course of time, I'll tell you what kind of warped my reality in that is not the marriages that I saw dissolve. It was actually the marriages that I saw stay together when they should have dissolved. And I never want to. I grew up in a apartment complex where we kind of were in a valley, so like we were very kind of secluded with one another. It made for a great childhood, but one of the things that it did was it isolated us to like our own family. So like I remember I was over a buddy of mine's house when I was like 9, 10 years old, and this was my first example of like, dude, what the fuck did I just watch? His parents came home. I guess his dad was home, and his mom came home, and they just immediately started yelling, and it got physical. While me and this person were just sitting there playing like on our PS2 or whatever, you know what I mean? We were young. And I remember thinking like, I've literally never seen my parents talk to each other that way. Yeah. Or like, and then like to see the volatility and to see, I'm like physically uncomfortable to see him just playing the game. Like
this happens every day.
Hey man, you good? And I remember thinking even at that age, like that is horrendous.
Yeah.
And I remember I was 9 years old and I was thinking like these people should not be together. Fast forward 10 years, but the problem is through that 10 years.
It impacted him so much. And
like they finally did get a divorce, but I feel like I want to be careful how I say this because I'm not trying to like say like the minute you hit some hurdles, like you dissolve your relationship. Like obviously, if you marry someone, you should take those vows seriously. You should try everything that you can. You should try to remedy the situations. Yes, if we're growing apart, let's try to see where we can come together. Yeah. But like ultimately,
it takes work. Marriage takes work.
It's the hardest thing. Yeah. My wife will tell you.
Yeah.
I'm not an easy guy to be with. But what I am trying to say though is like when all options are exhausted.
Yeah.
Then what else is there?
Because it starts to really impact your life.
Everybody else. No, it impacts everybody else. It'll impact everybody else way before it impacts you. It will impact you, but you have a daughter.
I mean, we talked about that on the podcast of like when I was going through divorce and my daughter's first question was, are you going to date again? And I was like, do you want me to date? Are you worried about me dating again? And she was like, well, maybe. And I said, well, what are you worried about? And the things that she listed were so bare minimum. And this is not a knock on my ex. He's a great guy. We're still friends to this day. But the way that our relationship worked was it after we were getting divorced and I told her that it was happening, I realized that like it was not a demonstration of what care means. And like we were living together and we got along, but our lives were in parallel. We were driving down the same highway in different cars, right? And so the things that she asked, and I said, well, you know, what kind of person do you want me to date? And she said, I want somebody who does stuff with us. And it was like, unintentionally, I had kept her and I so separate, and you know, he had his career and he was busy doing his thing, that like there wasn't this family unit, that it was like me and her and then him. And like sometimes it wasn't even me and him. Sometimes it was like me and her and me, and then every now and then it would be me and him, you know? And so for her to see that what she wanted for me was someone who would do things with me is like, that's like the bare minimum of like what a relationship should have been. And it kind of made me sad a little bit that like she hasn't seen an emulation of a relationship where 3 people can come together and like be a family. And so that was like really important to me. And I don't think like Eric and I never even told him like, you have to like, whatever. I don't even know that like we talked about that.
You sat him down. Was like,
no, but
listen here.
he's just such a like caring person generally that like he's taught her how to drive. He takes her because I get so anxious now in cars that like he's the one that does stuff with her. Like when he was going to propose, he took her driving and told me that he was taking her driving, but he actually had her drive to my dad's house so he could sit them all down and ask and say, like, this is my intentions and this is what I want to do. And he made her part of that moment, and he didn't have to do that. And she was, like, so excited about, like, you know, she, like, lied to me, and she was like, we didn't go over there. We didn't do anything. And I don't know what the ring looks like. And she knew the whole time. And so for her to feel part of that and to feel part of the things that we do, and she'll go to him and talk to him about, like, advice. She'll go to him and, like, we eat dinner together and, like, we do things. And, like, she has a healthy emulation of, like, if I'm working late, he comes and brings me dinner. And so she's got an emulation of, like, what it means to have somebody care about you from both, like, he's somebody in her life that's not her dad, that's not somebody else, that is showing her what care and compassion look like and how to emulate respect and love, right? But then she also sees that from what he does for me. And so she has that not only from him to her, but him to me. And that should set the standard for her of what a good relationship should be and what she should aim for and what she should do in those ways. And that wasn't even anything I think that I used to think about, like, intentionally. But her, like, feelings on him, and her and I talked about it when we had started talking about, like, rings and shopping and getting married one day. I did sit her down and say, like, hey, you know, we've been talking about getting married and I want to talk to you. Like, what do you think? Do you like the way our life is? Is there anything that he does that you don't like? Is there anything that you want to put on the table? And, like, let's have a real discussion, because how you feel about this is really important to me. And she was like, no, I like the way we do things. And, you know, I like that we do things together. And, you know, we had, I won't go into it, like, on air, but, like, we had a very serious conversation and sit down about it before we even, like, moved forward with that plan. So there was like a lot more. I don't think that I wasn't careful or I wasn't considerate about it before, but I mean, definitely, like, having been divorced twice to like think about it. You don't get more casual about it as it happens. You get actually more serious about it as it goes on. So
has it been a fun ride?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can, of course. I think, like,
because it's tough to get back into the dating scene. We've had this discussion in prior podcasts, and it's not as if I'm trying to regurgitate some of the things we talked about earlier. But my question is more deep than that. Like, I'm sure that when the previous divorce happened, there were probably some doubts, some fears, some hurdles that you had to overcome mentally. And then to have someone like Eric come in kind of relatively quickly, let's be honest. You know what I mean? In terms of the grand scheme of things and how it could have played out. Yeah. You did a good job.
You were like, get on Bumble, and I got on Bumble, and then I met Eric. It happened literally. It happened.
That better be said at the wedding. He's
literally laughing. I was on Bumble. Bro, I was on Bumble for like 4 hours, and that's it. It was 4 hours, and then I matched with him, and then I got off Bumble, and I never got back on. It's a good ad for him. It's a good ad for Bumble. It's actually a good ad for Ariane.
The other thing I said was because I understood, like, her interpersonal relationships and how she was, like, mixing work with, like, the problem is her industry is extremely social.
And I kept dating the same type of person. And
not just the same type of people, but, like, I don't want to badmouth anybody. How do I say this in, like, a way that what she needed, and I didn't know, like, what form that would take, but what she needed was a breath of fresh air. And I think that's what everyone needs. Like, I say this about my wife. Like, Bruna and me are like a Venn diagram, but we share about, like, 20% of the interests and things. Yeah. And the 80% that we don't share is actually a lot of what draws me towards her, because, like, it is something that she's bringing to my life. If I had, like, 80% of my life was, like, inner time with my wife, That would be miserable, like absolutely miserable. If like I'm going to work and I'm
'Cause you
doing all
never
my
ha-
shit,
it's the
and then
same
I
thing
come
every day,
home
yeah.
and what do we talk about? We talk about work. No, fuck that. I want to talk about, dude. I want to talk about literally anything else. Like, tell me about your day, babe. Oh, I'll tell you what. We went to. Your daughter wanted to watch Coco Melon. I was like, all right, tell me about Coco Melon, please. Like, get my head out of where my day was. Like, that's
Yeah, you
we
need the
need
escape.
that, a reset.
Yeah.
And I told her to get on Bubble because I was like, you're gonna meet.
A normal person.
So
is
you're
what
gonna
he
meet normal people.
He
And
said
what-
a postman, and I found a teacher, which is pretty close.
I said someone in like
He
just
literally
a
said
regular
postman
walk of
was his
life.
exact
I was like, yeah, bring home the package.
Yeah. I think it's been really. I mean, we just like from the first time we talked. I mean, we talked on the phone the first day that we met for like over 6 hours. Just, and it was just like we could have kept talking, and it was like 2 a.m. I was like, we got to go to bed. Like I have to flight the next day. And so I think we've just been so. It was so easy like early on to like just talk and to be natural, and we come from the same types of. I mean, we literally grew up in the same subdivision, and we didn't know it, and so we come from the same types of places. But I think also I'm just a very emotional person, and I have a lot of feelings. That's a bad thing. I'm a very sensitive person, and I care a lot. I have a lot of empathy. I have a lot of like feelings about everything. And he's never made me feel like that was too much, which I think has been healing for me personally, because I'm always worried about being too much. But not only has he not made me feel that way, he like embraces it in this way that like helps me be proud of who I am. And I think I would like to say I help make him proud of who he is. Like we both very much see, I think, things about our personalities that would be easily dismissed by other people. And we value that very strongly about each other. Obviously, like the bare minimum, we have a lot of respect for each other. We have a lot of fun. He has hobbies that I don't have, and I have hobbies he doesn't have, but we come together and we support each other through those things. But he's also very like aware. Like he within 5 seconds of me having like a small shift in my like vibe, he's like, something happened. What's going on? And oftentimes
You got high emotional intelligence.
he has high emotional intelligence, and for somebody who
If you can pick up on nonverbal cues like that, well done.
100%. He knows within like 5 seconds that something's happened, and then now because we've been together for almost 2 years, he's also like, "Do you need a sweet treat? Do you need? Come here. Do you need a hug?"
He turns on like a Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, he's
For
like
a white noise.
He's like, "Here's your frozen strawberries and a water, and I've turned on murder mystery shows. Have a great day." And like, I don't even have to ask. Like the other day, I was
Well played.
The other day, I was like telling him that I was like very upset about something that happened, and I was like, it's just really weighing on me and whatever. And he texted me and he goes, "I'm getting you a Diet Coke from McDonald's and fries, and I'll be home in 30." And I was like, he knows me so well.
My
like,
love language.
Yeah, it's just like Diet Coke from McDonald's. And he like, I didn't ask, and he was just like, "You had a bad day. I'm bringing you a Diet Coke. Here you go." And so I think like there's this saying that like to be known is to be loved, and like I think having somebody who like knows you, embraces you, cares about you, supports you, I think it is a very rare thing that somebody can make you feel more proud of yourself. And so that's my husband.
But I would make the argument that that's exactly what you need in a partner.
Yeah.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. Bruna makes me a better man.
Yeah.
And I'm
But it works both ways though, right? If you
agreed.
make somebody better and they don't make you better, it drains your battery.
Well, it drains their battery if they're pouring only into me. Agreed.
Correct. And so I think that the balance of like finding both of those things and like the mutual respect of like what we each bring to the table and like honoring that and respecting that, appreciating that. Yeah. We said the other day, like, what do you think our first like actual fight is going to be about? Because like every now and then we'll get like a like, you gotta tell me.
Where's dinner? Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, like I got the chicken coop. Like we got a chicken coop. And as the chicken coop's being delivered, he like started panicking. And then he said.
About what?
Because he was like, I just don't know, like this maintenance on this is going to be crazy. And I was like, well, as the chicken coop's being delivered, it's not the time to have like voice that concern. And I was like, we have to like talk about these things, whatever. But like, that's not really a fight. That's just a like, hey, I want you to like tell me how, but like.
You don't know how many countless nights he spent staying up thinking about that chicken coop.
No, he doesn't. No, he
The
doesn't.
mental-
This
the
man falls
mental
asleep.
drain.
Dude, this man falls asleep mid-sentence, right? And he like his ability to fall asleep is like it fucking
God tier.
should be studied, because he literally just goes like, I asked him one time like, how do you fall asleep so easily? And he goes, I just ask, am I hungry? And if the answer is no, I close my eyes and I'm asleep. And I was like, you don't like worry? No, literally he lays down, am I hungry? No. He eats a bowl of cereal before bed, and that's how I know that it's almost time to sleep. He eats a bowl of cereal, I'm not hungry, gone.
Cereal is exclusively a nighttime meal. I don't know what anybody else says. Dude, if you eat cereal in the morning, I don't trust you. Have a coffee and a cigarette like a normal man.
No, he eats cereal all the time, but like
Cereal in the morning too? You lost points.
he
The
is-
cereal at night, you gain points. It's a net
Yeah.
neutral.
So, but I'm like the anxious up
What
all
cereal?
night, like can't sleep. We like right now the Cheerios with the oats. There's like Cheerio oats.
Okay. Raisin Bran oats. The crunchy Raisin Bran.
Remember when Raisin Bran was an old people cereal?
Was it? Well, I don't do Raisin Bran. I do a Raisin Bran Crunch. Game changer. That and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, also game changer.
He takes Cinnamon Toast Crunch and then puts broken brown sugar Pop-Tarts in the cereal.
Remember when I drank a 2-liter Dr. Pepper in front of you, when we were watching the UFC, and you looked at me and go, dude, that's a lot of soda. Fuck you. All right? You want to know what I've never done? Never broken Pop-Tarts in my cereal.
Cinnamon Toast
All right? Cinnamon Toast Crunch is the highest caloric cereal that exists. And you added to that. You're like, I'm bulking. You fat shamed me, you motherfucker. He looked at me. He's like, Aaron, that's a lot of soda. I was like, yeah, I'm watching some fights. And Eric's like, that's a lot of soda.
But we're like opposites in some way. We're like, I'm the like highly anxious, like always high strung, and he like just like
You're not
vibes.
though. You're not though, dude. You're not.
You don't. Hey, he says I'm not high
You're
strung.
not. Well, no, what you are is hyper aware, but like you're also like super laissez faire in a lot of things. Because I've called her sometimes. And I'm like, yada 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 yada, and she's like, it's not that serious. I'm like, bitch, who are you to say?
Well,
Sorry, I
here's
shouldn't
the
be saying
thing.
it like that.
I am high strung, but like very go with the flow.
Yes.
I'm not particularly like picky, and I'm not like the type of person that like the dinner reservation gets canceled and I'm like, what are we gonna do?
No, you're hyper aware when you're in charge because you want everybody to have a good time. But
Yeah.
when you're the guest, you're cool as cucumber.
Oh yeah, I'm like go with the flow, like super, like even at work where they're like, our thing is gonna be late, we're gonna whatever. I'm like, whatever, like everything's a solvable problem, like we'll figure it out. But then I can be like very anxious about a thing I said 8 years ago, you know, and then be like, oh my God, like what happens? My anxiety is a lot of interpersonal anxiety. It's not a lot of like logistical anxiety because I have a lot of high confidence in my ability to solve problems. It's a lot of interpersonal, like how are we gonna handle this? Or like that person might be mad, or like what's going on?
Would you say that this is a fair assessment? You're worried about people maybe misunderstanding what it is that you're trying to do, like how you're executing on a specific action or interaction. And what you want more than anything is to be understood in those interactions for what it is that you're trying to get, which is a positive experience. And you're trying to hit that mark.
I mean, I would say yes. I would say that that's pretty true. I would also say that like, I have also learned, and I've gotten better about the anxiety of like my persona of like who I am was very highly attached to my version of my own personal worth for a very long time. So like people
You talking
perceiving
about from streaming? Like when you say persona?
so
sorry.
like no, I would say even say like going back to being like a kid, like the compliments I often got were like, oh, Aaron's so easygoing, or like Aaron's got it, like Aaron doesn't need anybody to do things, or like the teachers all love when Aaron comes in the room. Aaron's so helpful. Aaron is so this. Like what I got praised for as a kid was being like good and easygoing and like reliable. And so when you're told that your whole life, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, but what if I need something from someone? I'm not reliable anymore. And that's like hard for me to deal with. And so there is a part of psychology called family myths and labels, and it comes to do with like your childhood and whatever. Like if somebody is the smart one in the family, then kids will often go like, well, I'm not smart because they're the smart one and there can only be one. It can be true that like my brother is the athletic one and I am not the athletic one, but I'm not athletic, but I could be maybe.
This is a bad example.
It's a really bad example. But but I could be, you know what I mean? And so there's a lot of work that like adults can go through, especially when you are in multi-children families where like you each get an identity. Like one of my sisters was like the smart one. My brother was the athletic one. My other sister was like the popular one. And then like, what did that leave me? It left me being good and reliable and easygoing. And so like when that is your personality. And so I used to get very upset and still do, I think, when I feel like who I want to be is not aligned with how someone sees me. I care a lot about what people think, and I've gotten a little bit better about that, of like only caring what the right people think and not everybody.
Can you say that twice?
Everybody knows you.
Can you say it again for the people in the back?
Yeah, you should care about what the right people think.
If you try to make everybody happy, you'll make nobody happy.
That's right.
Including yourself.
Right. Because you can't, right? Like you literally cannot make everybody. That's why they'd say like you can be the sweetest peach in the world and somebody doesn't like peaches. Like it just.
But
is
even
the
then,
case.
why would you try? Because there will always be those that do not see the same sight. Like they don't have the same vision of the world as you. So like I think that there are two things. Like you can treat everybody with dignity and respect. Like that is something that we should universally do.
Yeah.
Regardless if we agree with people.
Yeah.
Right. Or want to be friends with someone or something like that. I am respectful to everybody. Yes, no, ma'am. Yes, sir. Whatever. I hold the door open. I don't have to be friends with someone to do that. That's like the cordial societal norm for a man to do. And I will do that because it also gives me the warm fuzzies. I like being nice. Call me old fashioned. But the other thing I will also do is like simultaneously, if I do these things and I am reciprocated with negativity, then I go from like 100 to 0. All right, then go fuck yourself. I gave that effort. I gave that goodwill. I extended you the olive branch. If you want to throw it in my face, that is your option. That's your prerogative to do so. That's fine. I will not lose sleep over it, but I will also not reciprocate that energy. Like I don't care enough about you.
You don't match energy for energy.
No, I will do what I want to do. And what I want to do is the nice things because it makes me, I don't do the nice things because you deserve them. I do them because I'm selfish. Yeah. I hold the door. I say these things and I act cordially because it makes me feel good. Yeah. I'm a selfish individual. If it doesn't make me feel good, I won't do it. Yeah. So you're lucky that I live in a society that makes me feel good to do these things. Yeah. Do not take that for granted, please. Not you. Yeah. There are people in our sphere that have mistaken societal norms as moral norms and never distinguish that your moral character and the way you perceive yourself in terms of a societal expanse is completely different because people within numbers act differently than when they're isolated to themselves. They'll amplify. They'll feel emboldened by anonymity, or they'll feel emboldened by the numbers. So you'll see some people...
Or like the echo chambers.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you're an individual, like if you ask an individual, like, would you want to do this heinous act or whatever? They'll say no. Like, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want that tied to my name. Yeah. The second you put them on the internet or second you put them in a crowd, suddenly you'd be kind of surprised at what a crowd of people are able to do. And
I think the other problem too, that has been hard, and I've lived on this since I have been on the internet for a very long time, is that not everybody can, does, or should put everything they do on the internet. And so what you see is a very small fraction of somebody's life, and then making a determination about what you do or don't see as like who that person is, as like a relation of determining the content of their character. And I do think that a large majority of people have time distracting from what I see or don't see as a correlation of like who someone is or isn't. And I think that like in some ways, I think that's hurt me because I used to be much more open about my life and the things that I was doing and the things that I participated in or whatever. And I stopped doing that. I like stopped talking about like, you know, running charity campaigns for certain things, or like helping with like certain nonprofits, or like doing certain like goodwill campaigns or volunteer work or whatever, because I was doing them for me. And I started feeling like having every part of my life publicized or socialized made me feel like it was performative. And I didn't want parts of my life that I was genuinely doing to like help my community or activating for certain underrepresented groups and being able to say like, hey, I'm going to go help this, you know, nonprofit group for Trans Day of Visibility help like with their marketing campaign, and I'm going to volunteer my time. I wanted to volunteer my time because I wanted to help that group genuinely. And I was starting to swing the other way where I was feeling like every time I would talk about it, it felt like I was like trying to get brownie points. And I don't need the brownie points. I'm doing it because I genuinely care about doing it. And I don't care for the props or the accolades. And so I just started doing things for me because I wanted to do them. And so, you know, again, people make determinations of what they see or don't see, and we'll draw from that. But again, if people are going to make an assumption or a characterization of you based on what they see or don't see, those people don't really know you.
I would say two things. Number one, the vast majority of individuals don't necessarily have the time to live eternally online.
No one does.
I disagree with that. There are some people who
wisely.
Of course.
Do you have the hours in the day? Sure.
There's a lot of people that choose this life.
Should you be using those hours in the day?
Yeah,
Probably
but there's a lot
not.
of people who it's a tough thing to say because like I was that nerd. I still am that nerd.
Yeah.
Like in my heart, you know, one of the reasons why I started this conversation or started this podcast episode with WoW was because it was something I was so passionate about and I spent so much time into.
Yeah.
And I met some great people and I met some not so great people and had some amazing moments, and ultimately it did not necessarily end on a high note, but regardless.
Yeah.
But I understood that like there needs to be a sense of balance with everything in the world. Like it goes back to our conversation about corporate America as well. When we were talking about like the number versus the salary versus the title versus the work-life balance. It's like all of these are important. Salary, title, work-life balance. They're all important. We're basically just choosing, you know, to what degree is as important at what time in our lives. Like when we're younger, you're willing to burn the candle at both ends because you're growing to something. When you're older, you're probably not willing to give up time with your family and friends because you know what, the money just isn't that important to you anymore.
Yeah.
So your life will also change that perspective. But what I am saying is the people that will indulge themselves, you know, unfettered with online discourse or the digital world, it is just unhealthy.
Yeah.
And they know that. And I think that more now than ever, and possibly, you know, in the future it'll be understood even to a higher degree, people understand that this is a separate world. That the digital world and the physical reality world, though they can have a Venn diagram and sometimes there's a percentage that meshes, they are separate worlds, and that you need to spend time in both to have a wholesome grip in reality.
I think there's two things. I mean, I do think that like people should use their skill sets or their voice or the things that they've been blessed with to like make the world a better place. But the version of that looks different and can be different across the board. So I think if you have an online platform and that's like the things you want to do, you could use it that way. If you have external skill sets, you could also use it that way. I don't think there is like one way that you have to be a good person. There's not like one way that you have to like, oh, well, you have to do this and you have to do that. And like you're obligated to do this. If the obligation is to do better or be better or contribute, that can look like 1,000 different things. And so like I heard this the other day. It was like on a financial thing, and somebody asked, they were worried about like the state of the economy, and they called into this financial thing and they were like, what should I be investing in case like stuff goes down? And the guy on the show was like, well, do you know actually, and I don't know if the statistic is real, but I clung to it, so like forgive me.
Don't at her.
He said the determining factor of like when people get into times of like hardship, like we're talking like war, the factor of the most like impactful contributing factor into whether people see through that thing successfully or not is actually not like what money did they hoard or what like cigarettes did they get or like what gems and gold did they like, you know, pilfer away in the side. It's how deeply connected to their community are they? Their immediate community, meaning like your neighborhood, right? Virtual communities are amazing and they're great for getting people together and learning and sharing. And I will never, as somebody who like does value digital communities and online communities, I will never say that they're not important. They are. But your actual backyard is very important as well. And so I have in the last like couple of years also been really focused on like what local impact am I making? I work 40 hours a week on driving relationships from people all around the globe and connecting them through video games. And I love that. And I love using that as an opportunity for people to feel represented and welcome, whether that's their culture or their gender or their identity or whatever that case may be. Like, I love being able to do that. But I also want to know that I'm being a part of the community in my backyard. And so, like, volunteering with the PTO, helping, with the school.
God bless you.
Like, there's an organization in the place where I live that literally helps raise money so that, like one of the examples was there was a kid that was going through cancer treatments, and they realized that the child's cancer was terminal. And the father lived elsewhere in the country, and the parents did not have the funds to fly the dad back. This organization paid for the plane ticket for the dad to come back and be with that kid. When our town, there was like an area of our town that flooded, they helped raise money for the businesses to repair that was not offset by insurance payments. And so, like, this whole grassroots organization is specifically meant at no matter what it is. Like, one of the things they just said was there was a kid that is as a part-time job doing like some printing stuff, like for whatever, and he was running out of printing ink, and they like needed it, and so like got somebody to like come in and like help buy this kid's printing ink for this like side business that he wanted to do. So like all kinds of things that are like local to your community. And so I've been like working with them and volunteering with them and doing that kind of stuff. And so for me, like, again, and I don't like go online and be like, I'm doing all these things, but like I do think that there is a value of like finding community. And I think a lot of people either discount what it means to be like active in your local backyard because it's so easy to just like get online and like talk about the things that they care about, which again is important. I think people should be using their platform. I'm not knocking that. But I do think that like doing goodwill and having a direct impact in your local community is almost sometimes more important to be able to have that, so that when somebody is struggling, that face-to-face connection, that like, I'm here, I'm your neighbor, I'm helping, I'm fostering community. Not only is just that good for the world, but it is also good for you. It is good for you to have a sense of community and a place of belonging and a place to feel rooted and grounded and hold you accountable in a way that matters, that you can't just turn off because I don't want to hear it. And so doing...
no one will hold you more accountable than the people immediately near you.
Right. Exactly.
You can't turn off
exactly
your relationships the way you can turn off social media.
Exactly. And so, your neighbors will tell you when your yard looks like shit, and they'll also tell you when your yard looks really good. They told Eric he was doing a good job with the yard the other day.
Well done, sir.
So yeah, I think it has been
piggyback
helpful.
off that if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
It's also, and I know you didn't say this, they're not mutually exclusive. You
No.
can have both.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can make the initiatives in a digital world that do correlate to true change. And that's great.
Correct.
And you can do something small in the terms of the perspective of like how it affects
Buying
people.
Girl Scout cookies from your local Girl Scout troop is doing good in your own community.
Here's the problem with the digital namespace that does, it has diluted the observance of reality in terms of numbers. So like someone will tell me, I talk to people and they're like, oh, I had a person on the podcast and they were talking about like the metrics on social media, specifically Instagram, and how she's like following her analytics and she's trying to push a product. And she's like, I only had like, I got like 500 views on this one thing, or 500 likes on this one post. And I go, dude, if you put 500 people in a fucking room, you'd be
that
like,
high-fived you.
Yeah, you'd be like, you'd be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's two-pronged, right? Because it's simultaneously amazing to be able to reach more people than you are physically able to.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like that expanse of opportunity has diluted the immediacy of the physical interaction. And that, dude, having 5 or 10 people around you can feel monumental if they're around you. If you have 10 people at your house, you have a full fucking house.
Yeah.
Where's
Think
everyone
about
gonna
when we
sit?
played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
There were only like 6 of us, and we were like, there's a lot of people at this table playing
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. But think about it this way.
By the way, I've played video games since I was like 6 years old. Doing something tabletop like that, not necessarily having the immediate visual interaction, was still... I had a fucking blast.
It was
Granted,
fun.
the alcohol helped. But what I am trying to say is that was a good time. And like,
Yeah. It was drinks and Dungeons and Dragons.
but also, I hate to say it this way, I would venture to say that there will be a portion of the people that listen to this podcast that might not have 5 people that they can call to do that.
Yeah.
They have
Well,
5 people that they can call to do what we did.
But think about how like so like looking at the views, there's only like this many people that liked the post or engaged the post or whatever. Let's say that you post a picture and only one person likes it, right? Let's say that you walk through an airport and only one person walks up to you and goes like, you look really cute. Yeah. Like sometimes it'll happen to me because I have red hair and people call it out all the time.
Yeah, that's why.
So like every now and then, like someone will come up to me and be like when we went out on Valentine's Day and I got stopped 3 times.
Because of how hot Eric was?
Yeah, for him, for sure.
Who is that
they were
man?
Like, you're punching up, girlfriend. And I was like, I know. I got stopped 3 times by people that were like, you look really pretty. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. If I got 3 likes on an Instagram post, I'd be like, whatever. But 3 people.
Hold up.
It was. Did that not happen?
On Valentine's Day?
Yes. Women.
Oh.
Well, one lady and her husband both came over.
Okay,
they might have had
different. That's different.
Eric's
Eric's like, relax. I know where you're going with
No,
this.
it was always girls.
I'm like,
it was always,
bro, what the fuck?
No, it was always girls. That
Yo,
said
dude,
it.
relax.
I mean, it's sometimes harder to get compliments from girls than it is other guys, right?
You mean guys than it is other girls?
No. Women, like,
give compliments more than men. Dude, it's a different day and age
sometimes,
now.
yeah,
I don't go up to anybody ever since Me Too. I don't talk to women.
Oh, that's probably true.
I'm married, so like I definitely don't talk to women. What I'm trying to say is I don't even interact with women.
I did have a guy talk to me in the grocery store the other day, the day after Eric and I got engaged, and I went to the grocery store and the guy, Did
you pick the mayonnaise bottle with that?
Well, no. So I was just like pushing the cart and he like was like looking in my cart. And then he noticed that I was looking at him, looking at my cart. And he was like, oh, sorry. And I go, you can peruse whatever you want in my cart. Like, it's a public store, dude. And he was like, what is that? And it was like a new type of, like, seltzer. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's like this new type of seltzer, whatever. I wanted to try it, etc. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, are you shopping just for you? Like, that's a lot of groceries. And I was like, no, we're having some people over for dinner, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, oh, that's cool. Very short, like, brief conversation.
He tried to shoot his shot. God bless him.
So
God bless him. Miss every shot you don't take.
He went in front of me and he checked out. And as he's pushing his cart away, he turns around and he goes, what was the word that he used? He said, I just want you to know that your ring is, and I think it was something like shockingly intimidating. He goes, your ring is like shockingly intimidating. And I was like, thanks, my husband did a great job. He's not my husband, but I tell everyone he is. So I'm like, my husband did a great job. But the guy turned around and
of all the cocks I've seen in my life, it's the biggest in the room.
Somebody asked my godfather the other day when we went over for dinner.
And Eric, I've seen a lot of cocks.
He said, he goes, man, you did a really good job. And I forget if it was you or somebody else. And it was like, yeah, I had to think about how far away I wanted somebody to see that she was engaged from. And then that's how big that ring came. It was like, how far away did I want them to be before they saw she was engaged? And then that's what he did. Yeah. It's just a beacon. It's like a bat signal of like, she's taken. But yeah. 3-year salary, right? Yeah, it's 3-year salary. That's right.
God bless.
No. No, that's from Michael Scott. That's from The Office.
I'm kidding. It's a line from The Office.
That's a line that you got very...
Dude, I was about to have a heart attack for you.
Michael Scott goes, 3-year salary, right?
Yeah.
God bless.
No, that's from The Office. It's a joke from Michael Scott. But yeah.
My wife would shit her pants. I'd shit my pants.
No, I wouldn't wear walking.
I'll never forget.
I don't want a car that expensive.
Have I ever told you the story where Aaron actually helped me get my engagement ring? Because like I was like, what, 27, 28? I'd never gone shopping for any jewelry before. I didn't even know rings had sizes. That's how uneducated I was. So God bless you. She came in with me and like helped me with like the whole process. Like, what is it Bruna like? And all this other stuff. I was like, I don't know. So I told Bruna to send me some pictures of like, what are the things. But Aaron Aaron and her mom like held my hand through the process. And I'll never forget this. Like it came time to like pay for the ring. And, I remember the guy was like, do you want a whiskey or something? I was like, no, I'm fine. And then like, as soon as I swiped the card, I got like a thin layer of sweat. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I told him. I go, actually, man, I was like, you still got that whiskey? He's like, and he was laughing. He was like, yeah. I was like, please do. So,
yeah.
And
that's why they give you champagne when you go into like luxury, like watch stores. They're like, you guys want some champagne? They like butter you up before you make that big purchase.
Here's the fun thing now. Cause, where I was at financially then and where I am at now is like completely different.
Are you going to upgrade?
Dude, she hit me with like, and I was like,
I would like a ring. I would like a ring. I would like a diamond ring.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, here's the thing though. Does she deserve it? Like, truth be told, dude, yes. Like, my wife is, there's only one I'm gonna be careful how I say this because I'm not trying to like, one of the reasons I respect you so much is you have this mentality of like, nothing's gonna keep me down. I'm gonna get what I want. I'll persevere. I'll find
Yeah.
a way. It's an accolade I don't have. I am very much like, this is it. If I didn't have this, it would not be. Does that make sense? And I wish
You're
I had,
locked in.
Yeah, I wish I had your perspective because
Yeah.
then maybe I would be a little bit more like optimistic in a lot of fronts in my life. But my mentality is I have immense treasure and I will protect it at all cost, including dissolving myself if I have to. You know what I mean? So long story short, Bruna deserves it, and we'll probably end up doing something like that, especially once she sees yours today. Thank you, by the way. Fuck you. So that's gonna be an easy.
We've been talking
That's
about.
gonna be an easy fucking conversation. I'm telling you, the second we get in the car after Top Golf, she's gonna be like, and I'm gonna say, all right, what?
And my godfather goes.
OnlyFans.
Aren't you a public school teacher? Eric was like,
During the day,
we gotta start.
but at night I'm a
We
really
keep
shitty
joking.
D&D
We keep-
archer.
every time we talk like wedding like stuff, when I'm like, okay, with like this is how much is the cost, and he just looks at me and I'm like, we can start a feed
Dude,
finder
weddings,
if you want.
has that opened your mind? Isn't that insane? Isn't that
And
insane?
our wedding is not even that expensive.
Dude,
We're
there's
not
no
even
such thing as a cheap
spending
wedding.
that much.
There's no such thing as a cheap wedding.
I've spoken to other people too. Like,
The venue alone, just the venue alone.
what I am.
And I'm being so good about our budget.
I'll tell you off the
We're
record.
getting a good deal.
I'll tell you off the record what I paid for mine.
Dude, listen
It
to
was
this.
outside of anything business oriented that I've spent my money on. It is the single largest purchase I've ever made in my life for like my own needs.
So we hired.
And it started with the ring, by the way.
Well,
it started with the ring.
so-
So like that's the other thing I had to tell my wife when we were like, I'm sorry. When we were like budgeting the wedding, I wanted to tell her, I was like, hey, I want you to know that I'm already like X amount of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in the hole. Like just be aware of that when you're talking about $10,000 this and $17,000. I'm like, holy fucking shit. I'll never forget when I lost my shit at the venue. When we paid for the venue deposit, this is how uneducated I was. I didn't realize the food was separate. So we paid like a certain amount of money for the venue, and that was just for the venue.
That was just to be able to
That
show
was
up.
just to have people there. No food, no drinks, no nothing. The open bar separate from the food. Dude, when we were talking off the record about how like, you know, certain markets are in like a downward trajectory. And I will say this, there was at the longest time, weddings were taking at a premium cost.
Well,
because
weddings didn't get hit in a lot of industries. People kept wanting to get married even when the economy wasn't doing well, and that's not the case anymore. I don't think.
Well, I think now it's also that people are like, they're getting married, but they're willing to accept like the financial reality of their situation, and they're no longer trying to get into
They're
debt.
going into debt in the wedding.
Debt, and health are the number two reasons to go into debt. Sorry, I said debt. Weddings, your marriage, and health are the number two reasons for debt and then filing bankruptcy. Number two reasons. So like usually when people have like file bankruptcy for no reason through no fault of their own, it's usually correlated. Number one reason is health scares. So like you have to go to the
got
hospital,
cancer.
you have something, your health insurance only covers a certain amount, so you run up the bill, then you file bankruptcy. Number one reason for bankruptcy. The number two reason is marriage.
That's crazy.
Number two
work.
reason is marriage, because people are trying to front. And here's the thing, there is like fronting, but I will also fucking tell you that like, if you told me a $40,000 wedding, how many guests do you think you could get and
Well, it
have like a
depends-
good wedding?
Oh, 40,000. You under 100. It's under 100.
Under 100 people,
It's
exactly.
under 100 people.
It-
It's about 75.
We had 280 people at our wedding, and I was like flabbergasted.
I
At
was
like just the numbers of everything. Nothing was in the hundreds. Everything was in the thousands. And I thought to myself, like, it's almost as if you're penalizing me because we want people, like we have loved ones and all these other
Yeah.
things. And I thought, the next thing I thought to myself is like, how is this fucking affordable for everybody?
It's
One of
not.
the things we tried to cut corners. I'll tell you the number at the end of it, but like, let me also tell you this. We picked a Sunday instead of a Friday or a Saturday because we got half off for a Sunday. Okay, and I told them, and my wife was like, well, what if people have to go into work on Monday? I go, they can fucking take a PTO day. If they get so drunk at our open bar that I paid for the top shelf liquor, I was like, then they can take a PTO day. That's a small price for them to fucking pay. Like, we did the things that we had to do to kind of like, and it was still, Eric, one of the biggest purchases I've ever made in my fucking life. That being said, and I do want to say this on the record, shout out to everyone who went to our wedding. We got in terms of like money that people gave us, all in all, around $55,000.
Our group chat photo is the photo of me and you and my brother from your wedding.
Yeah. So like whatever I tell you the cost is, like that is the cost. But I also want this to be said on the record that the people that showed, we had 250 guests at our wedding. God bless every single person that came. God bless everybody that came and enjoyed themselves and all that stuff. I don't regret what I paid for, but I will also acknowledge that it is unsustainable for the vast majority of people. Like their generosity is not the norm. It is the exception, not the rule.
We had, so just for people at home who are like, well, how expensive can weddings be? When I was a wedding planner back in 2008 I was a wedding planner from 2005 until like 2010. We entered wedding awards every year, and there were 2 categories for best overall wedding. And it was add up all the costs of the wedding. So how much total did you spend? And one number was under $500 per person. And the other one was over $500 a person, right? So like that includes like your dress, your rings, your limo, your whatever. You take the number of guests, you take the experience, you divide it by the number of guests. And if it's over $500, that's considered like a ritzy wedding.
Is
right?
it?
Yeah. Over $500 was like the ritzy weddings, right? Under $500.
We were under $500.
Yeah. Okay.
We were under $500.
So over that though, that's where you start getting
holy shit.
Over 5. So I won twice. 2 years in a row, we won over 500, and then we won under 500 a couple times as well. But
no pressure.
We're way under. But I was talking to a girl yesterday, and that was, and I don't know if the categories
give me 2.5
changed.
chairs, I'll pay for them. I promise.
I don't know like if the numbers have changed with like, because that was 15 years ago, right? I don't know if the numbers have changed. I was talking to a girl yesterday because Eric and I were talking about it. We were dividing up like how much our budget was and what we were spending. And I was like, look, like under this is considered a fancy wedding. Under this is not.
Well, do you take into consideration when you're planning that, like the guests that you have and like the gifts that you're going to get?
No, because I think we're older. 2, it's not my first marriage, and we don't need anything. No,
I know that, but I'm just saying, like,
no, I don't
call a spade a spade. When we get
get
there, we'll have an envelope, and there'll be, you know what I mean?
To me, if I got $0 in gifts, I'm happy with the amount of money that I'm spending because I'm excited to us to have a wedding and like we're comfortable with what we're spending, so like we're good with that.
I can't wait to meet your family.
It's going to be a very nice wedding, but it's a smaller guest list, right? So that we can have, we can spend
I prefer the
money.
term intimate.
So, yeah.
Have you ever seen Chris and me dance?
No, but so we've been like talking about it. So our wedding, we know where we're going to fall. So I had like set a budget for photography because I was a wedding planner. I've planned over 200 weddings. Like for me, I could plan our entire wedding in a weekend and be done and have the venues and like done, right? But we're going to space out. We're like timing things out. No, we're not. We only have our venue and our photographer. And so
get ready.
When we booked it, I was like expecting like to spend, and I was like, we're not going to do videography because that's going to add thousands more on top of it. Like we're only going to do photography. So she was like dropped. You're like, oh yeah, it's like 10K, right? I was like, no. In fact, I said, we found a photographer and it was under our allotted budget for photography and videography. And I was like shocked at I was like Googling like, this is too good to be true, whatever. And it turns out there's this company who basically they outsource like not outsource. So they bring in a bunch of photographers and some of these photographers own their own photography studios. Some of these people who are like teachers full time and they want to be photographers on the weekend, but they don't want to have to own their own business. So they have this network of like 30, 40 photographers, whatever. They handle all the overhead, the marketing, the contracting. They do all the editing in-house. So all the photographers have to do is go shoot
up
and give them the SD cards. And then they handle editing like in-house and like get it to you.
I would say that's probably more of the work is the editing.
Well, it is. It's a lot of the editing and it's the marketing and it's the contracting and it's the meeting with all the brides and it's the coordinating their logistics and all that stuff. So they have like 4 full-time employees that do all that work. And then they outsource these photographers. And so, like, if your photographer, like, breaks their leg on the way to the wedding, they just call another one and they go, here you go.
Can I change the topic? Forgive me. It's going to be on the same topic. Sorry. Can I change the direction of this?
Yeah.
When I hear all this shit, I'm not going to lie to you. Whenever I think of, like, how there's, like, a declining birth rate and, like, men are scared to go into relationships and commit to women and all these other things, I think to myself, like, dude, I hate to say it this way, but, like, I get it. Like, think about it from the perspective of a man. Like, if you're single, you have no responsibility, you have no care in the fucking world, right? You will go to work, you show up. I had a 1-bedroom apartment. Life was kind of chill before Bruna. Now,
I tell Eric that all the time. Like, do you ever miss your like studio apartment? You miss like
that being
just
said,
doing whatever you wanted to do and eating your fucking peanut butter on tortillas.
well, here's the thing though, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this one. Once again, I add the caveat of like Bruna was a like she makes me better. Like you've known me for 10 years.
Yeah.
I think I've fundamentally changed.
Yes.
And a direct reflection of that is Bruna. So like, don't get me wrong. I picked a good one. You picked a good one. But like, if you're just the average fucking guy, dude, imagine a more, I'm getting like shivers just fucking thinking about it. Think about it like, what?
Eric knows because
The average wedding ring now is like what, $9,000 to $12,000.
No,
for
the average wedding.
No, wedding ring.
Oh, wedding ring.
The engagement
I
ring.
don't know.
Just to say, do you want me? Is like $9,000 to $12,000.
No, that's not true.
What's the average?
You could have to Google it. I would imagine that the average person, like in America, especially now in 2025, because a lot of people are doing lab.
What is the average cost of the average engagement ring? Let's just see. Go ahead.
I'm gonna guess.
Guess before I give you.
Guess. It's.
I think $9,000 to $12,000.
No, I'm gonna guess it's probably like 3.5.
10 to 15. I was gonna guess 7.
ChatGPT, about $600 to $6,500 is
Okay.
most widely cited average in the U.S. If you take global average, obviously that's less. But when
It's
I was
lower.
doing mine, I was thinking. So you thought 3,000, I thought 9 to 12.
Well, because I have a bunch
we
of
were
friends.
both off, but by about the same fucking number.
Yeah. I
So
don't.
$6,000 to $6,500. So realistically, the most people spend somewhere between $5,900 and $6,700.
Yeah, I think. Well, and a lot of girls.
And
now,
the reason, forgive me, sorry for interrupting, because this is actually important. The number one reason for the decrease in cost
Lab.
is lab-grown diamonds versus natural, which
Yeah.
on average makes it 50% cheaper.
Yes.
50% cheaper. So thank you,
I mean,
technology.
my old ring was a natural one, and this one's a lab, which I was totally fine with because I was like, I want very specifics, like.
But
things.
I asked this for men. Who knows the difference?
No
Can
one.
you tell the difference?
No, it's literally you take the diamond thing and you put it on.
Yes.
The only way they know is if they read the serial number on the diamond through a loop and they run it through.
Go
a
fuck
thing.
yourself. If
That's
you're doing
the
all that
only-
process, go fuck yourself. If
That's-
you bring one of those eye things to a party, you're not getting invited to the
No.
party.
But they have. But even the eye thing won't tell you. The eye thing only shows you the serial number. The serial number you have to Google it, and the Googled serial number will tell you if it's lab or not. You literally cannot tell
the world we live
the
in.
difference. Anyway, so
But to my point though, like
yeah.
if you're a guy, the monumental hurdle of just like a regular relationship, the cost
that's why
of a
I
ring.
bought. That's why I bought him a watch before we got engaged. I bought him a watch first, and I was like, it's not fair that girls get rings and guys don't get anything, and I don't want to only get you a watch to like because we get engaged. I just wanted to do it for you for like a nice reason.
Dude, Bruna gives me so much fucking shit.
And so I got him a watch he really wanted.
God bless.
That made my day. That was like one of the best days I think I've ever had.
Because it's better to give than to receive.
It was just because he was talking about it and he wanted one so bad. And like, he and his friend like have this like shared thing for watches. And I just like knew he really wanted it. And I was having a really shitty time at work and I was like really stressed out. And so I took a half a day and I was like, it was during the summer and I was like, we're going to go to lunch.
You did pick a good one.
And I was
You
like,
did
we're
pick
going
a
to go
good
to
one.
lunch. And so we went to lunch. He was like, why are we driving all the way out here? And I was like, we just like want to take you to lunch. And then at lunch, I was like, oh, they have a store here with a specific like watch brand that he wanted. And I was like, they have a store here. And he like looked at me and I was like, we're going to go get it. And he was like, we don't have to do that. And I was like, I really want to though.
How long were you guys dating when she did that?
Just about a year.
It was back at the start of school year. So
It was about a year.
It was in August.
God
Yeah, it was
bless.
just over a year.
Boy, did you pay it back.
Yeah. There's a picture of us right after we got engaged and he's wearing that watch and I'm wearing my ring and he sent it to his best friend and he was like, one for each of us. But yeah, but I do think that like guys' wedding rings are like what, $100, they're like not
Less. My Zeus ring is $54.
very much. But
I bought
like,
3 of them in case I lose it.
Yeah.
so we yeah.
Are you gonna go metal band? Have you thought about it?
I have.
Yeah.
Metal band?
He wants 2. He wants one that he can wear all the time, which is just like a plain, like the gold, like Lord of the Rings ring, like the gold, like shiny one. And then he wants
The one ring to rule them
Yeah.
all?
No, for real. And then for real. And then he wants
You
one.
can get it engraved? Like, what are you talking about for
You
real?
can get them like in real gold. You can get that ring in real gold. The Lord of the
So, like,
Rings ring.
engraved with all
Yes.
the...
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting?
Yeah, like on the inside.
Yeah, he wants it on the inside. So it
Every
doesn't
time I
just,
see
like,
you,
look-
I'm going to be like, precious.
So he wants that one. And then he also
I'll
wants
just hold your hand.
like the stainless steel one. So when he goes to the gym, what's it? Titanium or whatever?
I'm telling you, there's going to be no difference.
Drawing a blank for some reason.
It's like, well, the gold one will be more expensive because the weight of
I'm
gold
telling
is
you,
expensive.
when we get out of here, try this on.
He has one.
I'm not sponsored by Zeus.
That's what his is.
That's what I'm saying.
He has a rubber band.
These are
He has the rubber one that he wears. That he wears it on a different finger because he has like this callus from weightlifting, and so I got him the ring to help with the callus.
Say it again one more time.
He has a callus from weightlifting, so I got him the rubber.
It's hard being this manly.
But like I got him the ring because it was hitting him right here, and so he wears the ring and it protects him from getting like the callus there. But so he doesn't wear it on his ring finger, but he wears it on a different one. He wears it.
It's just so good. I forget about it.
He wants,
I
like-
lift, I wrestle, I do whatever the fuck I want to do, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's on
He'll
me.
probably have one like that and like his nice one that he can wear.
I have the nice one. I'm telling you right now, I forget to wear it all the time. And Britta doesn't care. All she cares is that I have a ring on.
I told him I'm gonna make him get my name tattooed on his ring finger.
All right, listen, crazy lady.
He doesn't have a
Just
tattoo.
relax,
That's
just
why
relax,
it's
just
funny.
relax.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have any tattoos. But anyway, so yeah, planning a wedding. Yeah.
Well, all I'm saying is it's a tough, like, I'm not trying to, I think that the men that do best in the world are the ones that embrace responsibility and discipline. I will say that. So like, I think on average, if you look at the, average married man with a kid and the average single guy, I would say that the average married man with a kid probably, takes on more responsibility, takes on more discipline, is a bigger contributor to his local community, all the variables that you'd want in a functional society. However, I do think that simultaneously coupled with that, it is a tall task to ask a guy, buy this, buy that, do this, do that. And I will be the first person to say that like the dynamic of the gender roles have shifted to where men now have to contribute more. And women will sit here and get mad. By all means, tell me to eat shit. But I feel like times have changed to where now we have to. I want to be careful how I say this.
You can't just show up with money and expect to.
No. It's the opposite. They want the money and all the extracurriculars as well. I would make the argument that like the money was easier. The money was the easier path.
I mean, I don't feel that way, but I don't.
I'm not speaking about you.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I just.
You guys are isolated from what I'm about to say, and I know that I'm about to get a lot of shit from what I'm about to say, but I think there's a correlation between men shying from commitment and the promiscuity of women giving all the benefits of what used to take commitment, so they no longer have to do that, and then asking for men to still cut. We were talking about the wedding ring, what a wedding costs, and then also, we haven't even talked about like kids, the house, the everything else. Getting married will be the most financially burdening thing a man will ever do in his life. And it's not even a close second.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
And there's not even a close second. So forgive me. The only reason I bring that up.
We're in a lot different of a situation, but.
We are the exception, not the rule. But what I'm trying to say, though, is we should feel like we're the rule, not the exception.
Oh.
Society has gotten to the point now where I don't know a whole lot of people that are married.
I don't know that because none of my experiences have ever been that way.
Really?
No. Well, no, because
we live completely different lives.
Because my ex-husband and I made exactly the same and our lives were completely separate and we were 50-50 and like in some of the ways like I not only was it just the monetary part of things, but then I also took over all of the responsibilities of like any of the home labor and all of the like anything that needed to be done.
That's a little one-sided on your end.
What do you mean?
If you're taking on half of the financial responsibilities
Correct.
and 100% of the home, yeah, once again, that's like...
Correct. So
that's not
like,
what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, that's not being done.
Well, right. But so,
if you're a housewife, then I would expect the man to upkeep his end of that bargain. What I'm saying is the majority of these relationships are not that.
See, and I don't...
You're still going out every night. She's not cooking dinner. She's...
Oh, I don't know.
Does that make sense? This is what I'm trying to say.
But I only
this is
work
not
with,
pertaining to us. This is not pertaining to us.
All I'm saying is I don't know anything speculative about that because all of the women in my life are anecdotal to my situation. So I don't have any relative, like, I don't know. And I don't trust kind of what I see on social because everything's like extremes. So I can't speak anecdotally about whether that's true or not.
I'm not doing that. I'm going off of just like, I want to be careful how I say this. I'm not going off of like vibes like on social media.
Yeah.
You can go look at the declining birth rate. You could look at the declining rate of marriage. I mean, there are analytics that support. Now, I might be going off of like a bit of a leap here in saying that, I'm sure that if I were to talk to a woman who is single, she would also hit me with, well, men have by and large receded from that.
But I also think though that there is inversely, I think there is also a shift in like, well, she should pay 50%. She should be all this. And so I think some women are just like, well, if I'm going to pay half, I'm not also going to take on all the home
Well, doesn't
things.
that change the paradigm of the relationship then? Like afterwards, like if we're going 50-50, I don't know. Listen, that is
It's a
topic.
whole other, like,
that's a
topic.
topic for a different podcast. Forgive me. I
What
was
we
kinda
have
going
works
down a
for
rabbit
us,
hole.
and I'm happy with that. And we
Logan, take notes.
go on Bumble.
Listen, we
Not
got
sponsored.
we got Top Golf in 40 minutes.
What a day.
Anything you want to end with before we put it? By the way, thanks for doing this for a fourth time.
I love
I
it.
hope it was fun.
I want to be the most decorated Easy Talk guest in history, Most frequent visitor.
Done. You are the champ now.
Every 50.
It's
we get the benchmark.
yeah. I said this off the record. I'll say it on. We are so April 15th will be. We had done this for 2 years. We started a third year. So you're going on average now of like basically like 8 to 12 months. We had you
Dope.
as our second episode, like our 40th episode, our 100th, and now 153.
Look at that.
Thank you, by the way, for wanting to do this. I hope it's somewhat.
I think
enjoyable.
it's fun. I think it's.
Eric's like over there sweating like.
Why are you
I hope
sweating?
one of us are. No, I'm messing.
Yeah, no, I think it's. He gets to see me only in 2 modes. He gets to hear me like sometimes like from passive like work mode where I'm like strategy, business, energy, blah 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 blah, and then he sees me at home where I'm like I need a little sweet treat, and like there's like nothing. As soon as I'm off work and he's home, I have 0 brain cells, and like he just is like takes care of everything.
You just want to recede.
Yeah.
God bless.
So he doesn't. I think this is my like when I'm a normal person mode. So I like that.
Relationships are best when we find our roles that synergize with one another. And that can look like anything else from other people. Like no one can tell you what a perfect relationship looks like. It's perfect for whatever you and your partner are. So as
No,
long
it's
as you
just
guys are
fundamentally
happy, that's the
perfect.
only thing that matters. And by the way, I will say this, like I've seen a shift in, I didn't know you prior, so like forgive me on this one, but like your life, how you've shifted,
Yeah.
your mental, your physical,
Yeah.
your,
Yeah, dude, I'm down 40 pounds.
I didn't
the
want to
last
say, I didn't
time-
want to say it out loud.
From the last time we were on the podcast, I lost 40 pounds.
I think I'm up like 10, so like there's
Nah,
an
I lost
inverse
40.
relationship.
I got 2 organs removed. I did. I had to have a hysterectomy. So I'm like, look, I lost 40 pounds. Plus, I
Is
lost
this a
2
plus?
I mean, it's just part of my life. I gained a fiance.
What else?
Hell yeah.
We've gained one D&D campaign,
Yeah.
half done.
Yeah, half done. It's still sitting waiting to be completed. It's a great life.
For those that, I need to say this, we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't understand like how any of this fucking shit worked.
And we made up a lot of it, to be
picked,
fair.
Yeah. He picked the archer. There were like multiple times
He just
where you
failed.
like rolled ones and like missed the arrow to take.
I DM'd. So like we like rolled a 1 and I was
I
like
felt so bad
I was
for
like,
you.
you pull the arrow back and you let go and it just falls because you didn't have it like cocked correctly. And he was like, what the fuck?
And this was like all night. Just
He just kept failing. But then Tig, his name was
Dude,
Tig. His
you
name
are-
was Tig.
you
Tig came through at the very end and he
Yes,
helped in the
that's
very
fair.
end and he was like lobbing these like fire bombs and it was
Yes.
like, and then the octopus like explodes
Exploded.
and everyone's like, hey,
Yes, you would
finally
throw
did it.
them. Yes.
Yeah, he came
You
full
did it when
circle.
it mattered.
Yeah, he showed up when he needed
I remember that was actually an immense amount of fun. I want to finish that sometime, but I
need
remember one of the campaign guys, the wizard, was out of town.
Yeah, Kenny. Yeah, he lives.
Next
he
time
lives
he's in town, we got to coordinate that.
Yeah,
No, fuck that.
in person's better. And Chris then came out later and he was like, "We were doing it all wrong," and I was like, "I don't fucking care.
Whatever, Chris. Like
Who
you
cares?"
didn't know that.
And
at
he
the
was like,
time.
"Bro, all these mechanics," and I was like, "Nobody cares."
Dude, I was
We
so
all had
drunk
fun.
by halfway through it. Like,
Yeah.
I put an owl feather in my ass. I was like, let's fucking go.
It was so fun. I tried to at one point during the campaign. I tried to go in and like get like a mock me up, a like drawing up, and it was like, I'm sorry, I can't draw that.
I'm a naked gnome barbarian with a feather up my
Owl
ass.
feather, because
Yes,
you
owl
guys helped
feather.
the owl bear.
Yes.
And as a
I wanted to fight the owl bear. I wanted to fight the owl bear, and
you guys
everyone
would have
was
died.
like, no.
Everyone would have wiped so hard because you were level 1. And then I was like, as a thank you, the owlbear each gives you a feather. And Aaron was like, I don't know what to do with this. Burnt. And I was like, okay,
Good times.
roll for initiative, I guess. Anyway,
All right, let's
good life.
let's
Work
end-
hard.
Let's end with this. I love you. Thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
out. I'm glad that you're, from all intents and purposes, you seem like you're doing so well and you're so
Thanks.
happy. So either you're doing a really good job of lying to me, but yeah, the floor is yours. Anything you want to say before we call it quits?
No, I'm happy to be here. I hope, people out there, especially as we talk about like careers and jobs, like it's helpful. for people to be like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's not a thing that you're going to go like read a podcast and be like, fill your resume. Every time someone's like, I can help you fix your resume. It's like, yeah, but then can you interview? Do you know how to translate the skills? Do you know like they're so complicated. So I think conversations like this just help people normalize things that they don't think about, because it's not just the resume. It's not just this. It's like thinking about all that.
It's all of it. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Aaron,
Thank you. Why do we handshake? That was so fucking weird.